All good. And
so might as well start
let me
that.
make sure I hit okay, because we caused all kinds of.
Well, remember, that's what the stream problem was last time.
I'm looking at now. It's like you do not have permission to stream, and I'm like, it just maybe there's too many people. And
no, this is exactly what happened last week, and somebody didn't push okay. Remember about permissions?
Yeah, me.
That was, and then we were able to stream it.
If we got 20 people there, it might not. That's what I mean. It's
so we're not going to stream it tonight. We're going to just record it and put it up as its own recording. Also, I don't think we really need the peanut gallery chiming in. We've already got enough to focus on with everybody else.
We don't pay attention to them anyway.
It's true. Yeah. But also at the beginning of the show, guys, you're going to hear an intro. Should you feel inspired to do an intro for your team, we would love that. That is something where you would talk to producer Mel directly. You can just record it on your phone and send it to her. But we would love, there's lots of clubs we do not have an intro for. So, or if
you'd like to update yours, if you've done one already, like Simon or,
I will, after we are done, I will send everybody the format in the email thread. And then you can just send it to me directly. Do not send it back to Sam or Graham. They will not listen to it until the show.
Yeah, we like to hear it cold because, as you will hear with the intro that we are going to do, it is definitely at our expense, which is what we actually enjoy. So, and that's kind of how we like it to be. So are we ready to rock and roll, kids? Everybody good? Excellent. Love it. All righty, producer Mel, ready when you are.
All right.
This is Alan with the Tune Army Baltimore. A gooner and a toffee walk into a bar. Decided to do a shit football podcast. You're listening to the DU Football Show.
It's the gold standard for a reason, right?
Absolutely.
It was one of the first ones we ever had, and it's one of the best. And let's face it, it's 7 years running, Mr. Graham. 7 years we've been doing this fucking show.
I know, and as many times as he's guest hosted, the least he could do is not have us call him when he's ready for his time.
Yeah, he's watching another sport. Let's start the show.
In the land of Bowie, Maryland, bred to be a fan of fucking Everett. Look you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Son of a lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Graham. Sam Graham.
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a totally biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me, our very own shit break from American Pie, Finch himself, Mr. Samuel Graham. How you doing, good sir?
Not bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing lovely. I have like a bidet, man. Way better than your house. I don't know why you don't,
I don't like the bidet. I've told you this before. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't care for it.
Just feelings you don't want to bring up, huh?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And of course, on the ones and twos is producer Mel. Producer Mel, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. We got a full Zoom of people.
Yeah, that's in the next.
At least 50% of them.
So the next segment is when I introduce them. If we read the notes, so, we're recording at the DU Public House, just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out wherever you get podcasts, and of course, streaming live every Monday night. Should you want to chat with us, there are as many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely, it's at DU Football Show on all the social medias as usual, and dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch by email.
Or you can do what I like to always say and gather a gaggle of geese and have them join you on a Zoom.
A murder of crows.
Like we are doing tonight. Hello, everybody. Unmute and say hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey. Howdy.
Hello.
Yay.
Literally twos and threes of people are losing their mind right now. Or as I like to say,
welcome to the shit show.
It is exactly what it is. Every single season we do this. It is the 20 supporters, 20 clubs shit show supreme that we say is going to go an hour that tends to go 2.5 because we don't know how to keep it moving, both of us, because you and Ryan will inevitably get into some kind of argument, and it's just the way it goes, right?
Yeah, I'm already ready for it.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout the show and every single show. Mr. Graham, starting in a few, starting once we get the season going, we'll probably go back to whiskey. So figured one more refreshing summertime drink. What are we having today?
Yeah, sounds good. So this is a rum and Coke. Basically, because we can't say Cuba Libre, that is trademarks.
Yes.
But it is as close as we can get without using Bacardi. This is made with Magdalena, Ron Blanco. It is from Magdalena cane sugar, harvested by hand from Guatemala. It is 41.25% by volume, which is 82.5 proof. If you're doing the math at home, I've never bought it before. I don't know how much it costs. What do you?
So it
You
runs,
used to sell this, didn't you?
well, I don't sell it, but it does have an association with my company.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The running price is about $29.99 on the shelf.
Nice.
And what they do is very similar to what Bacardi does with their silver rum. It is actually an aged rum that they then charcoal filtered the color out of. So they use Westward barrels.
Oh, nice.
Our CEO and the owners of Casa Magdalena were childhood friends growing up. So that's hence why we have that business partnership. Also, hence why we did a rum finished in one of our whiskey club releases as well. And of course, we are using not your father's Coca-Cola. We are using Mexican Coca-Cola with real sugar cane and that fructose syrup crap. Got to do it the right way when you're going to have a rum and Coke, right?
Exactly. And if for no other reason, that's a reason not to build the wall. You know what I mean? Got to get more Mexican Coke in here. Okay. I mean, wait a second. That came out wrong.
I would say if you're watching Narcos, there's a certain Mexican cocaine. They get right over the line. No problem.
That was punny.
Yeah, that was very punny. Well, what else should we do, Mr. Graham?
Always remember to drink responsibly.
All righty. Cheers. Let's get at it, kids.
Let's do it.
Hey, and producer Mel this time has actually drunk a bunch of it, so she's not like doing the waving it over the board thing like she did a few weeks ago with the gin and tonic going, I really love this. Let me just wave it over the board. Because for those you don't know, producer Mel had decided one time the board looked thirsty and decided to just spill an entire drink on top of it, which was really nice of her.
That is so melodramatic.
It's not spilling if it's intentional, to be fair.
To be fair. Very good. All right. Well, this is it, Mr. Graham. It's the 20 for 20 shit show. This is where we get all of our friends to come kind of preview the start of the season. It's just around the corner.
Yes,
and
it is. We're getting very close to the season starting.
Yes. Well, in fact, this show is being recorded before, but it is being released the week of the season. So let's go ahead and get everything started. Typically, we do this in alphabetical order, but we are, if anything, we are accommodating, damn it.
Well, I have a question, actually. Just reading through some of the notes here. How long do I have to bullshit to make him run through the airport and get searched by TSA?
I don't know. I mean, he said he's got about 30 minutes. So
man.
All right.
And that was like 28 minutes ago.
And also from the shit show gallery, we're already getting remarks about cocaine.
Nice.
already. It's already starting. That's the fun part. We're sitting here trying to do a show, and there's going to be like all kinds of jackassery popping up the whole time, which, by the way, we highly encourage. Just know, like, occasionally we'll actually notice that it's there. But we always make accommodations when it comes to my wife's future third ex-husband, as she likes to refer to him, our good friend and DUD2 winner of the fantasy league, our good friend Mark Turner, who supports Nottingham Forest. Mark, how are you doing, sir?
Good evening, producer Mel.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Don't even matter in the scheme of things. It's too funny. Real quick, this was a very odd year for Forest. There was obviously the PSR thing, which of course my club knew full well about as also. It seemed like you had a team that really wanted to play for Steve Cooper, but it wasn't working, and there was a shuffle. You eventually had to move on from him. Somehow you figured out a way to stay up, and frankly, I can say this, being one of the teams that were at the bottom, it was just that the bottom three teams were that damn bad, because it wasn't like we didn't give them opportunities to get past us. So, Mark, who's now handling the team, and where is the overall thought for the club moving forward?
Well, first off, you're right. I do have to run to the airport here in a few minutes, so you can get uncommon brevity from me today. The rest of the guys on the Zoom, I'm sure, will be delighted to hear that.
Mark, I'll see you at the airport in a couple hours, hon.
You're picking me up, right? Anyway,
Yeah, I wouldn't think you take an Uber.
Yeah, last year was bizarre. The whole PSR piece, the debacle around Brennan Johnson, his move to Tottenham, of course, then the switch over of managers from Steve Cooper to Nuno. It felt like survival was a constantly moving target for Forest this last season, and you nailed it, Sam. It's how they did it. We don't quite know. We stumbled across the line, and I think it was largely by virtue of the fact that the three teams below us were demonstrably worse. Yeah, I mean,
I actually have a little bit of insight here, and it's basically the same way when I have a massive to-do list or something really hard to do. It's essentially a 6-pack and a pack of smokes, right? And it gets me right through that difficult job. And I don't know if you remember, it all kind of happened the same day. 5 minutes after Forest played Everton and lost 2-0, there was Mariakis's kind of forwarded text message that the Nottingham Forest Twitter person put out on X that threatened Pugmole for having a Luton fan VAR. And then about an hour later, Nuno was seen still in his full tracksuit, just leaning against the side of Goodison, having a tab, having an old cigarette.
That was perhaps the highlight of our season, actually, was our admin threatening football and Mark Clattenburg showing up for a hot 10 minutes. Nobody was quite sure what he was doing there. I think he actually stumbled into the City ground by accident. Thank God he found his way out before the end of the season. So it really was. It was a hot mess. But all that matters is that Forest survived.
Precisely. Now, so far, still early in the transfer market. There's obviously all of August, and there's all that insanity and who's going to want to go and all that we can pontificate upon. But so far, who are the major pieces that you lost that contributed to the team last year? And what are the pieces you have been bringing in to help replace them?
Well, remarkably, there have been really no major departures. We offloaded a goalkeeper. We finally confirmed the departure of Oro Mangala, who is a Belgian international, very good player. Probably didn't see the best of him at the City ground, but we got good money for him. We were trying to avoid having to sell Murillo, who's our bright young thing in centre defence, and of course Morgan Gibbs-White as well, who's probably the jewel in the Forest crown right now. And we were able to do that. Somehow we were able to kind of duck and dive and bob and weave and get under the PSR bar by the end of June and retain those two superstars. And in addition, bring in Milenkovic from Fiorentina, 28-year-old Serbian international central defender who's fantastic. I mean, a great pickup and really as cheap as chips. We brought in Carlos Miguel, who's, I think he's a 10-foot tall goalkeeper from Brazil. The guy is absolutely humongous. It's quite ridiculous how much he fills the goal. And young Anderson from Newcastle as well, who by all accounts was rated very highly by the Magpies, but essentially had to be offloaded because they needed to come in under PSR as well. And so good pickup, versatile player, can play either flank, play through the middle, can even play as a false nine as well. So another good young guy, fits the Forest profile, and I think adds depth throughout that midfield, particularly that midfield area.
How much of the 856,000 players that you bought in your first 2 years in the Prem, how much of that have you really been able to kind of get off the books? Because let's face it, your owner was worse. The only difference is Todd Bowley just said how many zeros. Your owner was just like, how many guys can I get? Can I get another one? Can I get another one? I want to get another one. I want to have 80,000 guys.
I was going to say he was signing not even footballers. That's how Mark Clattenburg ended up there. It was absolutely ridiculous. He was like, January transfer window, who can we get in? Who's out of work? Let's just sign them.
So how about that? Were you able to get rid of a decent amount of those guys too, so you don't find yourself in PSR problems again?
Yeah, the difference between Bowley and between Marinakis is Bowley was shopping in Harrods, or at least those are the prices he was being presented with, and Marinakis was in the dollar store. I think Marinakis was trying to acquire as many people as he possibly could. In fact, I suspect he thought Mark Clattenburg was like a hot Norwegian striker that Forest just had to have, and that's how he ended up in Nottingham. But we've offloaded a ton of them, and those that we still have on the books, most of them are doing community service. So they're at least putting themselves, to good use. We had them in old age pensioner homes. I think there's a couple down at the elementary school teaching kids to read.
Brilliant.
Marinakis is Greek.
Excuse me?
Marinakis is Greek, right?
Marinakis is Greek, yes.
Ooh, they don't do the economy so well there. I would not. The only person worse in the Premier League at doing books is Mashiri.
Yeah. Oh, no. That would insinuate he actually understands what books are. He doesn't. So, Mark, what are your expectations for the club this year? I got to figure barely surviving is not what you want to see out of them now that it's their third year in the league.
Yeah, not only that, but Nuno came in mid-season. Obviously, there was a great deal of love and affection for Steve Cooper. So I kind of felt for Nuno because the transition wasn't as simple as one manager replacing the other. It was one manager coming in off the back of an icon. I mean, Steve Cooper had gotten Forest back to the promised land after 23 years in the wilderness. So he will forever be, in some people's eyes, the best coach Forest have ever had. Obviously, in my eyes, because I'm a little bit older. Always the second best behind Brian Clough and potentially the third best behind Paul Hart, but still somebody who holds, is held very dear in the hearts of Forest fans. So making that transition was difficult for Nuno. He didn't exactly blow the doors off when he came in. We didn't get so much of a manager bounce as we just hit on a sleeping policeman and then kept going in a straight line and not really uphill. We kind of maintained our rate of knots and going in the same direction and pretty much ended up in the same place Cooper left us, but nevertheless assured survival. And now that Nuno's had a pre-season and a chance to move players out and bring in some players in key positions, this is a team that, judging by pre-season, is starting to gel. And we are starting to see a Forest team built in Nuno's image. So to answer your question, Sam, I would be very disappointed if we spent the season, a place or two or three hovering above relegation. I think the expectations for Forest this year are a good, solid Fulham.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. A 12th, be comfortably 12th as and with like to say.
The other thing with that is Nuno's not exactly a firefighter. He's not a Big Sam kind of, perennial or a Neil Warnock kind of perennial firefighting, manager, Steve Bruce of old before he became a massive laughingstock. So coming into that sort of situation, I think is foreign to him, and I don't know how much he could affect midseason.
Mark, before we allow you to plug away on everything, I do want to let you know we have Ken, who is a Southampton supporter here on the call. When we did our getting to know you episode with him, he is fully prepared and ready for the Arbor Derby, and he said, fuck them trees, our trees are better. So boys and girls, we have manufactured a new rivalry for Nottingham Forest and Southampton simply because they both have trees
on their badge.
The Arbor Derby, baby, the Arbor Derby.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I don't know that the Forest fan base necessarily know of the tagline for the derby, so I'm going to be sure to share that on our next podcast. That's magnificent. Coincidentally, I was talking to a colleague today who'd returned from a cruise that actually landed in Southampton, and she got to go and explore some of the UK, London and the surrounding areas. But we got talking. She said, oh my God, I love England so much. I think I'm going to end up retiring there. We had so much fun. English people were great. We just had the best time. I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. What did you like in particular? She said, I don't know, but, I'm definitely going to end up living in England eventually. And I said, well, possibly Southampton. And she said, well, no, not in that shithole.
Brilliant. Mark, plug away. Let everybody know that are like-minded Nottingham Forest supporters where they can listen to some good pods and, of course, be able to hang out with other like-minded Forest supporters.
You bet. Yeah, absolutely. So the Nottingham Forest North American Supporters Group is definitely one to follow if you're interested in learning about all things Reds. They are on the Tweety. I refuse to call it X. NFFCNA, I want to say NFFCNA. So check them out there. I think perhaps they have an Instagram presence as well. And then I contribute to a Nottingham Forest podcast called Garibaldi Reds. And any of you who are familiar at all with Nottingham Forest and with our homegrown media, you might be familiar with Match Day with Max, which I think a young man when he was 11 or 12 years old began kind of doing media pieces and interviewing players and fans after matches and got pretty popular. Anyway, that young man is well, he's still a young man. He's just a few years older. He's doing work with the BBC now and with other media outlets. And he hosts the Garibaldi Red podcast. And I'm a regular contributor. And that can be found again on the Tweeties, Garibaldi Red. So check us out.
Fantastic, Mark. Thank you very much for the time.
I'm sure the Musketeer knows what he's doing. Okay. If we could please just refer to it as X from here on out.
No, it's Twitter. We're refused to refer to
all right, X at twitter.com.
Why are we not calling it Twix?
Fair enough. That's a good point.
Oh,
all right. We're going to run to the airport. Sam, it's great to see you. I love you.
I'll see you in a few hours.
Cheers, bud.
All right. See you soon, guys. Bye.
I love that our manufactured Derby is better than Palace and Brighton's manufactured Derby. Because there's nothing more natural than a fucking tree. You know what I'm saying?
Don't you shit on the El Gatwico, man. That is pure fucking gold, the El Gatwico. Mr. Graham, take it away.
All right. We have my president, my guy, the guy the guy that's won every 4 years for the last 16, Mr. Simon Torres, my man, and Arsenal Football Club. So how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Great to be with you all. Great to see you all. Even Heather in her hot dog hat. Love that.
That's fantastic. Are you drinking anything tonight?
Just a plain ass Pacifico. I had a work event and I didn't get my shit together. I would be having a good bourbon if I had a plan better, but it's the plain ass Pacifico. It's pre-season. It's fine.
Simon, got to say, I have a propensity for a Mexican cerveza, man. If I'm not drinking my cheap ass beer, I'm drinking a cheap ass Mexican beer, and Pacifico is fantastic.
Oh, Pacifico is very good.
I love Pacifico. It's not as good as Mexican Coke. I will say that. All the Mexican Coke, take it however you want, but Pacifico gets the job done in the summer when it's hot.
Yeah. All right, bud. So we've had a couple of arrivals and departures. One departure especially quite sad. Why don't you walk us through some of those real quick? And if there is one major rumor, because I think I've heard one of those out there, of a possible entrant.
Yeah, so let's start with the sad news. Emile Smith-Rowe headed out of Arsenal, headed toward Jay's Fulham Football Club for 34 million pounds, I think. One that hurts, academy kid who came on the scene during COVID, scored some beautiful goals, was like the second or third leading goal scorer in 2022, I believe, but just never found his rhythm once he signed his new contract. I just don't think Arteta trusted him. Was hurt. Yeah. So Emile's gone. He's gone to Fulham, and I wish him well, except when they play us. Other departures of less significance. El Neni is out of contract. He was a solid squad player. Cedric. He made a lot of money at Arsenal. Didn't play a lot, but it was a good teammate. The big incoming was announced today. Riccardo Calafiori, 22-year-old from Bologna. Let's call him a left-sided defender. He's primarily a left back, but in the new Arsenal style, which I think is increasing across football, especially English football, he can play multiple positions. He's young. He's got range. He's primarily a left back, but I think he'll also spell Gabriel and Saliba, maybe even at center back. David Raya finalized that deal from Brentford. You have to count him as an incoming. We had him on loan last year. He won a Golden Glove. Broke out with Spain this year. Didn't see the field, I think, during the Euros, but he was one of the best goalies in the world, and now he's permanently a Gooner. And then the rumors: Mikel Merino, who had a fantastic Euro for Spain, pretty affordable. We're not the only ones chasing him. And then I don't know what you're hearing, Graham. I'm hearing rumors about Victor Gyorkis, the big kid from Sweden.
The one that I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge,
not quite. Yeah, not quite the new Arteta Etu profile. A little bit older, but a big striker, has really done well at Sporting in Portugal, and so we'll see. As Houston alluded to earlier, there's a lot of runway in terms of the transfer market, and the Euros and Copa America fucked everything up. I think everyone's probably running 3 to 4 weeks behind, so we could see some real nice movement for Arsenal. I like the team that we have. One of the things I'm sure you'll ask about is, breakouts. I think that kid Wanyeri is going to be something special. You saw him play against Manchester United. Fuck Manchester United, and he roasted them. Set up Gabriel Jesus for our first goal. And so I think Wanyeri is going to be that guy who breaks out for Arsenal this year. Arteta has shown not much propensity to trust the kids. There were a couple times last year where we were well ahead, He could have blooded some young guys, and he chose not to. I think that the city creep is a real thing. I think that there is a perception that you have to be perfect and you cannot give up anything. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but hopefully Wanyeri will see the field this year, and I think he's going to be great.
Awesome. So I mean, the big question really is what are the expectations? If you're like me, after the last 2 seasons, my expectation is we get 114 fucking points and win the goddamn league. So what do you think is going to happen here?
In times of concern and solace, I always trust math and I trust the facts. And I know that this was a team that finished second in 22 and 23, 5 points behind City with 84. Last year, finished second to City again, only 2 points behind with 89. I personally think that this will be the year that we go over the hump. But City is going to be City. I don't know about Liverpool. I think Chelsea will be improved. Arsenal has shown that they can go toe-to-toe with Manchester City. They did not lose to them last year. But they have to show the ability to win at Fulham in Boxing Day, not come home and lay an egg against Villa. Do not let things like balls that should have been out derail you at Villa Park. Villa will be good again this year too. So I think that the levels of Arsenal have raised, the profile of player has raised. A guy like Calafiori who come in and won't automatically be a nailed-on starter. He has to contend with Jurgen Timber, and Zinchenko will get minutes, or does he replace Ben White? Well. And Tomiyasu, right. I think that's the levels that Arsenal is at now. And I think those levels are a title-winning team that should compete for the Champions League as well. They had a good run in the Champions League. They defeated some demons. They got out of the round of 16. They lost the heartbreaker to Bayern this year in Germany. They did not take care of business at home against Bayern. I think next year you will see more progression. So I'm not saying title or bust, but I think that they're in it.
I have a quick question for the both of you, and it's fair. Title or bust should kind of be the opinion of your team, considering what you've done the past couple of seasons. If there's a Champions League but not a Premier League title, are you just as happy?
I'd bite your fucking hand off right now.
Okay, that's I figured you'd take a Champions League over.
I would bite your fucking hand off right now.
Yeah,
and the reason is because
go ahead, Sam.
That's the one thing that City, Liverpool, Chelsea shoves in our fucking ass every time we bring something up, right? The Invincibles are getting a bit far in the memory.
Right.
Despite us only being the only English club to have done it since Forest, and them being the only other club to have done it in England, that is the one sticking point, is we don't have that European trophy. And if you're competing for Europe's top honors, more than likely you're still in contention, or at least in the Champions League places anyway.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a team do that, win the Champions League and not qualify since Liverpool, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was, when they screwed you out of a place.
Yep. Well, that was, there was that one. And then there was also in 85 when they had the, but
that's further back. That was before I was born. I don't worry about
it. Done it a few times.
You said, right, in black and white. Yeah, it happened. Yeah. Old person. But
we won a European trophy.
So that is why I'd bite your fucking hand off right now, because then people like Mike, on Facebook, they could shut the fuck up now.
Simon, your thoughts to that?
I'm less fanatical about Graham on it. It'll be 20 years since we won the league with the Invincibles. I think it's time that this club wins the top honors in England again. I wouldn't complain about a Champions League trophy, of course. My answer is a bit of a cop-out, Sam. I think that they should be competing for both. I think they are at the point now where Arteta has rebuilt this club, not only the roster, but the mentality to compete for both. So I'm going to say...
That's what I mean. If we are competing for the Champions League, we're more than likely competing for the Premier League as well. And to your point, it has been 20 years, and the English league is, unlike the Spanish league, the Barcelona, Real Madrid, it is only about the Champions League, right? They don't really give a shit about winning the league anymore. For us, it is very important to win the league. For all English teams, it is very important to win the league. But the counterpoint to that, and then I'll let you plug all things our brethren, is it's been 20 years since we've won the league. It's been 138, and we haven't won a Champions League or a European Cup.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. again, I'm just happy to be in those conversations again. It was a long time coming.
Yeah, me and you did the decade in the doldrums.
Yeah. Fourth place is a trophy.
That was bad. So plug away. Let everybody know where they can find us and our people and the smart football supporters out there where they can gravitate to the best club in the world.
Charm City Gooners is the Arsenal Supporters Club for the Baltimore area. We watch in Federal Hill. Given that this podcast will be released on 8/15, I'm proud to tell you that we will have a new home. That information will come out shortly. We're leaving our home at the Abbey/the Alley after 15 or 16 years. It's just too small. Our club has just gotten too big, and so we're moving on to bigger pastures.
Club.
You can find us on the socials on Twitter. Charm City Gooner, on Instagram and on Facebook. We have a public Facebook page and we have a private Facebook page for our members. Also love to plug the charity that I'm involved with, the Craig Willinger Fund. DU Football Show has been a supporter of CW Fund. It is a Baltimore-based charity that sends young adults recovering from cancer and other serious illnesses to the soccer match of their dreams. We have sent kids to the Emirates. We've sent kids to Stamford Bridge. We've sent kids to Manchester, to Barcelona, to Real Madrid, to World Cups, to international qualifiers. It's a really meaningful charity. We'll be having a golf tournament, a foot golf tournament, I should say, in October 5th. We would love as many of you morons to come out and support us at Carroll Park Golf Club in Southwest Baltimore. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been great.
Simon, thanks as always, my friend. And is that how we got to Stamford Bridge for Chelsea Everton, was through Craig, because you were recovering from being a cunt?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, honestly, I'm thinking Abbey Burger might be good for the Villa Club because we do really well with things Arsenal have left behind.
Ooh,
Nice.
that was nice. How long did you save up on that one?
Not as long as I was sitting on the Sam being a cunt joke.
That's kind of an
Love
easy.
you guys. Great work again.
Thank you,
Thanks,
very
brother.
much,
Thank
Simon.
you, Simon.
I can say this as third party and honestly can say, as far as local supporters groups go, I've said this before and I will say it
I mean,
again.
they're the gold star.
They are the standard.
Mhm.
That is when you talk about what you as a supporters group want to achieve. The Abbey isn't it's not the biggest place in the world, but it's a decent size and it is elbow to elbow,
Mhm.
upstairs and downstairs, and they come proper. The Baltimore game with Everton, it was, we had a great turnout of Everton supporters and we were loud. And I warned everybody ahead of time. I was like, you aren't going to be ready for what the fucking Arsenal people are going to bring.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot. And everybody at the end was just like, wow, they have yeah, they do.
But it's partly
do it well.
because of that longevity, right? We've been around for ages. I mean, Simon and Mike, his co-president, that have done such great work over the last 15 16 years of up in the profile of our supporters club in general, and Abbey's been a great home for us, and it's now our Highbury. We got too big for it.
Yep. Time to move on. Now,
So
speaking of moving on,
Exactly right.
time for us to talk a little Villa. Regrettably, Her Highness is indisposed this evening. She's feeling a little ill. But we do have a fellow Villanista in the ranks, producer Mel, who is going to talk all about Villa. I believe you have a prepared statement from our wonderful Brummy lass.
1 second.
Oh, she's going to try to do a Brummy accent. Watch this shit go horrifically wrong.
Jesus Christ.
Hold on, allow me
We're gonna
to.
Welcome to the shit show.
Go get him, producer Mel. Talk about Villa.
Yeah, I can't do a Brummy accent, but I'm going to do something. Dearest gentle reader, the hooligans are abuzz as a new season is upon us. There is anything more exhilarating than the announcement of claret and blue signings? Now, Lord Emery's arrivals have been the talk of the town, and we have been almost as busy as Lady Nell hitting that delightful mute button. Wait.
You do hit the mute button.
I'm too good of a reader.
Excellent cold reader. Definitely. Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely the best cold reader in the business. Yeah,
most
definitely.
notable departures. If you don't know, this is a Lady Whistle Down bit. Starts with Dear Gentle Readers.
Okay, go for it.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Most notable departures. Now, Douglas Luiz, while he did have a most impressive season and many a fan favorite, PSR was lurking and we needed to comply. It seems we can't all be like those scoundrels, Man City. Now, there were a few games we played without Louise, and honestly, we seemed to do fine, so no need to panic. We wish him and his fair lady Alicia farewell. Now, McGinn was delighted to see her to go because now he has no competition for best bottom in Aston Villa Football Club.
Sorry, Ashley, it was never a competition. McGinn's got the best ass on the team in the club, period. End of discussion.
100%.
Now, Diaby, as quickly as he came, has now left, and I think there were moments of potential, but his inconsistency was his downfall, and we will gladly take the money and keep marching on.
There we go.
No commentary? Okay.
Yeah, you can do it.
The only posh person ever from Birmingham is apparently from Crownsville, Maryland.
Most delightful incomings. I don't think I can keep up with the Lady Whistledown facade, just like I can't keep up with the new sightings into Bob. Now, Emery is a right proper diamond geezer. Bless his little cotton socks. Oh, Nana, what's your name?
Yep, good old Onana.
Love that Rihanna song and this sighting. Thank you, Big Sam. Now, I think Tim Igerbaum will be a nice addition to you guys.
Yeah, he'll be
P.S.
sitting on the bench and never playing.
Riri was hanging out with Grealish in New York the other night.
Oh,
Really
might not come
excited
back
to see
then.
this signing. A big presence in center, mid, tall, tactical, and young. I think he was better than getting Gallagher.
maybe they both did a Home Alone 2 tour.
Oh,
New York
yeah, I
City.
remember he did that. Yeah.
I need more alcohol.
So
for this.
ridiculous.
I need more alcohol. Very good.
Now, it's great to see Emery is setting up for the season's demands of CL games, etc., is also getting set up for the future. Now, I thought Barkley, memories of 7-2, was a smart move. Again, strength in the middle, mature player, and he had a great season with Luton. However, the town of Luton will miss watching the Premier League from their kitchen.
Yeah, you're just enjoying yourself, aren't you?
Then we brought in some more youngsters. I can't pronounce his name yet. Balanchera, Sam,
Good job.
Jean and Dobbin. Again, players that have a bright future. It'll be nice to see Emery, the magician, work his magic on them. Now, another great sighting was LB Maston from Chelsea. With CL experience already under his belt, this makes me wonder if Digne will leave since he's got high wages and hopefully Moreno is over his injury issues.
I think LB is just left back.
No, CL, Champions League.
No, LB Matson. I
Uh-huh.
think LB is his position. That's why Digne might be on the chopping block. It's not his initials.
Oh, left back Matson. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, Philogene is back. Villa fans weren't happy when Emery let him go last season, and many saw his wonder goal for Hull. So we were all excited to see that Villa activated a matching rights clause. Sorry, Tractor Boys. Billie Jean chant loading. Billie Jean is not good. Another reason I am not too bothered about Diaby leaving is because we have one Dia back from a long injury. Ramsey and Rogers are also back from short-term injury. All three of them have great potential, and Rogers has really adapted well to the team. Now, it looks like Duran is trying to compete with Odom Wiggle for embarrassing transfers as he threw up the West Ham icon symbol. And there is still to talk about with Villa and Felix. Some think Emery is wasting his time, but I think he can work his magic, and let's see what unfolds. Now, I thought we might get gone for a right back. I'm not sold on Cash, and I think Konza is suited to a center back partnership with Torres. However,
I agree with that.
it looks like Emery may now be trying to mold Konza into a right back or the flexibility to do both. Now, Mings not being in the USA currently is a little concerning, as we thought he was making great strides in his recovery, but we shall all wait to see how that plays back. I need more drink. Hold on. Fuck, this is a long email.
Yeah, but you don't be afraid to preview and read it ahead of time.
Yeah, some may say we are trying to do Fulham again, but I think Emery is doing what is needed to keep up with the demands of the season. I'll build a solid first and second team towards the end of the season. Amazing run. We're just running empty from all the games and injuries. We limped across the finish line, but we made it. Here is to another exhilarating season. Up the Villa.
All right. Well, that was.
P.S. I'm crying from England unnecessarily losing another Euro final, but thankfully Southgate is gone.
It's Safegate. I read the email and you didn't.
Let's do England and Arsenal a solid higher Pep. Delightfully,
English manager.
Your Villa, Royal Highness.
Very good. Very good.
I think Her Highness had a
no
bit
applause?
too much to drink.
No applause. Thank you. Thank you, Hiram.
So that was a segment.
That was something.
Well, producer Mel, please, would you be so kind as to let everybody know where they can find the Villa supporter groups locally?
I'm sure you can find us on Facebook somewhere if you look very closely and come to the Dark Horse in Annapolis.
So she's actually not going to plug the page.
I don't know what the page name is.
Oh,
Maryland Lions.
Maryland Lions.
I know.
Wow.
American Lions.
Hashtag plastic.
Hashtag admin.
Moving on, we welcome Zach, who is someone who was with us for our Getting to Know You show, and then wasn't able to be on the 20 for 20 because that was the most shitty of all shit shows we have ever had. So it's been a little while, Zach, but I wanted to say very interesting season for Bournemouth last year. As you know, it was just such a horrible start, and it seemed like Areola was going to be a mistake and it wasn't going to work out. And then by the end of the year, the team is finding themselves, they slipped a little, but for the most part, they were battling in and around that 10th place spot a lot of the season. And now you can finally say Solanke's a bona fide Premier League goal scorer, which is something when you're one of the, as we like to say, like not a big six club, if you got a guy who's going to put 20 in, you're already in a good place. So, Zach, how did you feel about last season as a whole?
So yeah, like you said, the first part was rough. It started off a very slow start, the first 9 games unbeaten, but his system is very, I guess, I wouldn't complicated, where it's all timing when you got to press up, and because they do a very high press that then works with man-to-man marking back there within that press. So it's all based on timing, but it ended up very well. We had the most points we've ever had in the Premier League with 48. Once we kind of got that, our heads were in the beach and everything. We were ready to go. But yeah, I was very, very happy. And I think we're building something that's not only on the field, but off the field too. We got a new training ground that's going to be completed by the end of the year. And then we'll start to move to a new stadium after that.
Fantastic. That's great news.
Yeah.
Who are key departures and who have you been bringing in to fill those spots on the squad?
So as of right now, we actually have only kind of lost Lloyd Kelly and Kiefer Moore, and Kiefer was like a bits player, especially after they brought in Enos Unal. Mm-hmm. So they made his loan permanent. They made Sinistera's loan permanent. So we got that. We so I mean, we haven't really
as well.
Yeah, he did have a terrible time.
I said Kiefer Moore had a terrible time with injuries besides being forced out of the squad by Solanke, really.
Yeah, there was just no spot for him, and he's 31, 32, something so like it's that, just it's time to put him out back and old yeller him. But there will probably, when this show airs, we'll probably have a couple more sellings once we Ariel gets a feel for the squad and everything, because we're depth wise, we're pretty solid. I mean, we got a lot of extras that, like David Brooks, who was on loan at Southampton, is probably going to be going. Mepton's probably going to be going. We're on the verge of bringing in someone new that's super exciting, and that should displace a couple of defenders potentially as well.
Perfect. And what is the expectations for the club this season? What do you want to see? Is it top 10 challenging for Europe, or is it, hey, hold steady, let's keep working towards making sure we survive, let's make sure we're getting the new grounds built, let's kind of worry about the program as a whole and not just one season success?
So I like to think of myself as a realist and not getting too high. So I think a good, what I like to call the Crystal Palace area, the 12 through 15, where they just kind of stay there every single year. I think I would love to push top 10 because we do have a good squad, in my opinion. It's probably the best squad we've ever had in the Premier. And we're just at the point with our new signings where we're just adding young people with a lot of potential that we can send out on loan, kind of like the Bright model. So I would like to see 12th, which would be one spot better than what we did last year.
Very good. Very good. Zach, take a moment, plug away, let everybody know where they can find like-minded cherries here in the States and shows you like to listen to, all that good stuff. Please plug away.
So with us being a super small, there's not much here in the stateside. So the only kind of YouTube I can plug is the Back of the Net YouTube for AFC Bournemouth stuff, all there. So that's kind of what I'm going to plug then.
Excellent. And where are you on Twitter as well? Because don't you handle the kind of the nation Twitter for?
Yeah. So at _USA Cherry. So trying to bring a little bit into more mainstream here in the States.
Excellent. Well, Zach, thank you very much for joining us again. And it's been too long, and glad to have you on the show again, brother.
We'll have to catch up soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Very good. Now this next person, we actually gets a total pass for not being able to make it tonight because they live in fucking Australia. It's kind of okay.
Yeah, but it's like 7 a.m. there.
Yeah, well, she's a busy gal.
Lady. Yeah.
So
usually she's putting whiskey in her coffee at this hour.
Typically, that's what she
was
would
last year.
That's exactly what she did last year when she was on it. That is, I just got from Ken in the chat. He was like, "Jane is the goat." Yeah, Jane, she is the goat.
Unquestionable.
She gave us the greatest saying of all time, "Missed it by a bee's dick," which has reigned supreme forever since.
We have T-shirts available in the DU Drip Shack for it.
Yes, we
like
do.
to buy one.
Now, Brentford is a very interesting discussion simply because there's a lot of talent on that team and they have an exceptional head coach, but damn if they did not have a shit season last year. It was
definitely
not good. And again, if it wasn't for the fact that there were 3 very poor teams that got promoted, they would have definitely been really deep in it because even, Everton and Forest were by the end bouncing above Brentford. And the big question that everybody's asking for Brentford is, does Ivan Toney stay or not? And if you listen to Franks, he's like, I ain't going to sell him unless it's for a certain price. So he better get used to staying here. Your thoughts there, Mr. Graham?
Yeah, their model has put them in a position where they don't need to sell,
right? Which
is huge. That being said, obviously was kind of the Moneyball model that we all became familiar with the Oakland A's, especially in this country. But they had to sell the likes of Ollie Watkins, of Saido Benrahma, of their best player essentially every championship season for 5 solid years. Yeah. Neil Mopay was one of those players as well.
Yep.
To get to a position where they didn't need anything anymore.
Precisely.
Didn't need the money anymore, basically, and then found another gem in the rough, and they've done very well to be where they are, and now they don't have to sell him.
Yeah. Now, I will say, if they do, the thing you have to wonder is that at the end of last season, when he was healthy, he really didn't offer a ton, and it seemed like he kind of brought the team down.
But he didn't play for 8 months, remember? I mean, that's the hard part. He was banned completely for 5 months and then was only allowed to train.
And really the only thing that hurt them offensively was Wisa and Mbeumo being hurt, not necessarily lack of production. It was just each of them got hurt, and that seemed to really hurt them. Really, my big question is their defense. I think that Fecklin did pretty well as a keeper for them, filling in for when David Raya was loaned out. But defensively, they were just in shambles. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that they have to work on.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I have their transfers pulled up if you want me
Perfect.
to go over
Please,
those.
go right ahead.
So they've brought in Igor Thiago, Benjamin Frederick, and Julian Eystone. I don't know any of those people.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of the clubs that they've played for, except for Igor Thiago played for Club Bruges in a
Right.
30 million deal. Obviously, they lost David Raya to us permanently. Other than that, I don't see any major departures. Everybody here are either young or didn't really play much. Free transfers and then just released. A couple of loanees, that's it.
Yeah.
So that largely will be the same squad that we've seen. And as long as they can, kind of hold serve and stay organized and do those kind of the same thing they've been doing, start good, end good, middle can be whatever it wants to be.
Right.
Doesn't
But also they do need to be wary is that this time you have teams coming up that have a decent amount of Premier League experience, and there isn't going to be room for error this time. I feel like there are going to be some teams that could go down. And if Brentford's not careful, they're one of them. If they,
absolutely.
Pull a Leicester of a few seasons ago that happened when they kind of unexpectedly went down and nobody really thought they would.
Yep.
Where you just sitting there like, that's who went down. Like, I think that could honestly be them if that's the case. Do want to say that Brentford does actually have a great presence in the United States market. When the Premier League came over last summer and did their games, they actually had, I want to say it was something like 80 people for their tailgate at FedEx, which was really good to see. And if you want to follow them, it's Brentford FC USA supporters at Brentford USA on the old Twitter.
Let's say it was no DU football show tailgate, but it was close.
Yeah, exactly.
Today's the anniversary of that.
It is.
100%
it is. All right. So I've got the esteemed pleasure of bringing in the Deserby-less Brighton. So Mr. Paul, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
Not bad. Thank you. So what we've come to expect a certain level from Brighton of, finding diamonds in the rough, finding all sorts of people we've never heard of from the deepest, darkest corners of South America to pretty much everywhere, really. Spain, the whole nine, where clubs wouldn't take chances on some of these players, and Brighton is selling them on for astronomical fees. Do we see that continuing? With this, without Deserby, what's going on with your club, basically?
Yeah, it seems like, especially this summer without Deserby, it's a little bit slow. I think everybody so far has been kind of mentioning there hasn't really been a lot of activity so far in the transfer window, and that's kind of the same with Brighton. I don't see necessarily the exodus that we've had in past years with Caicedo, with Cucurella leaving. I don't see that type of thing happening this summer. But we have had some incomings. Yankuba Minte came in from Newcastle. He was on loan at Feyenoord last year. He's looked fantastic so far in the preseason. We just ended our Japan tour. We played 2 games there. He scored in both games. So he looks like a really good addition. He was about £30 million. So we're spending some money, which is good to see. And it looks like we might not be as keen to sell this summer, which hopefully means that we'll be able to actually build on our performance from a couple of years ago and kind of leave last year's table standings in the rearview mirror.
Nice.
Real quick, Paul, what do you think it was just the overload work of Europe that ultimately was the demise for Brighton last year? We would talk about it on the show towards the end of the season. It just, you guys looked tired. Like you.
Yeah, no, I think that was the biggest thing, is that we've never had to play that many games before, so we just weren't prepared for it. And there was, at least throughout the end of last year, kind of the rumblings of Deserby leaving, and kind of why he might be on the outs with the board at Brighton was because we had so many injuries. It seemed like maybe he was pushing players too hard in training too. We kept picking up a lot of knocks in training sessions, and players would just not show up for games because they had some random injury that just happened over the course of the week. So it seems like maybe it was a combination of Deserby really pushing players in training maybe a little too hard, plus just so many games that we were playing, in addition to the normal league and cup slate. It just seemed like maybe it was just a little bit too much for some of the players last year in terms of fitness, but hopefully that changes this year, especially because we won't have so many games to play.
Well, the other thing, once they came back from injury, they weren't necessarily performing either. You think about Matoma and Evan Ferguson, were scoring kind of at will at the beginning of the season. They go out for a couple of months each and then come back. And I mean, Evan Ferguson couldn't really get a game towards the end of the season, was making a lot of, 15, 20-minute cameos. And then Matoma just wasn't as effective, period. And I just seems like he missed too much time.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of them not wanting to put them in a position to get hurt again because we didn't really have any cover. And so we would put them in for 15, 20 minutes at the end of the game. But by that point, we were probably already in a losing position or it just wasn't looking very good. So they would go out there, but there was really nothing they can contribute. Plus, especially toward the end of the season, we weren't really playing for Europe. We weren't in the Europa League anymore. We weren't really concerned about relegation. So it was just kind of like, we're here. We're just seeing out the game, whatever.
Right. So what are your expectations for this season? With obviously a new coach going to be coming in, can they affect it? And where do we go from here as Brighton Football Club?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Fabian Hertzler brings to the club. He's coming in from St. Pauli, got St. Pauli promoted to the Bundesliga last year. So excited to see what he brings coming in, youngest manager in Premier League history. So that's, a definitely very Brighton thing to do.
But isn't he?
Yeah. He's like, I don't even know. He might just be 30 or 31. He's very, very young.
Very young. Wow.
Yeah, he's younger than a lot of the players on the team. So it's interesting to see what he brings to the table. It's obviously, we've only played 2 games in Japan and we've kind of swapped out a bunch of players in the game. So it's been hard to see what his thought process is in terms of structure for the team so far, and especially, we might have new incomings, new outgoings. So, it's hard to see what the core of the system is going to look like, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be a little bit more forward focused this year in terms of trying to fight for that Europa or, Europa Conference League push in terms of the table performance. But, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm always nervous because, it's Brighton. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, I think it's going to be a good year this year.
Hey, Paul, real quick before you do your plug away thing, allow me to say multiple things. First off, pineapple on the pizza bit that you guys did, fucking brilliant. Second thing, sorry we didn't have Brad here for you to have your friendly discussions with. That is the normal gig. And third, by all means, feel free to fuck off the first game of the season. Graham, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say one thing to Brad and then Jonathan and Heather. You're going to be caught in the crossfire here too. But I just wanted to ask, well, I guess just let me know how the Europa League experience is this year for you guys. I know that you did so well last year. I just really want to know what this overall looks like this year.
All right. The other thing, I hope this new manager doesn't bring any of that St. Pauli girl beer. It's all non-alcoholic in it.
Well, no, they have regular.
Oh, they do.
Version.
I've never seen it before.
I used to drink it.
Oof, that can't be good. If the non-alcohol outsells it,
heard
that can't be good. All right, bud. Plug away. Promote your club. Promote your Exeter. What is it? Twix.
Twix. It's
all those things.
Yeah, so you can find us at Left Twix or Right Twix at BHAFC Stateside. Stateside Seagulls. We're revamping our website to statesideseagulls.com. But yeah, find us on all the social medias at BHAFC Stateside or Stateside Seagulls. And
And Paul, I didn't have a chance to tell this to you because it's been a while since we chatted, but congratulations on a few years ago being officially recognized by the club as a supporters group. That's really very cool. And I know that that took a lot of personal work on your part. So congratulations and very, very well done. Did I lose Paul?
Paul still says he's there.
Okay.
I'm here. Sorry. Lost you for a second.
He's tearing up.
I was just congratulating you on a few seasons ago because I didn't get a chance to say it personally. Was just congratulations on getting the team to the to being an official recognized supporters group with Brighton.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of good work, and really hoping that they make it over to the States again sometime. It was a lot of fun last year and working with the team. So lot of stuff going on. It's good here stateside with Stateside Seagulls and with Brighton.
And as always, remember, everybody.
Get my way downtown, walking fast. I'm a seagull. Go fuck yourself.
All right, Mr. Graham, keeping it going. I just have to say, this program is about to get younger, hotter, and fresher. That's right, boys and girls. One half of the Naptown Blues fan cast.
There we go, promoting other projects again.
Yeah, well, it's, if you were creative, you have more than one project too.
No, if my wife let me, I'd have more than one project.
Yeah, and often sits in when Mr. Graham decides to be a responsible father. The young hot freshness, Mr. Hiram Wainwright, who his club just says, you know what? If there's a problem, just buy somebody else. The old bully process.
And then we could paper over it with another problem. That's like, you know what Chelsea does in their whole transfer policy, if you want to call it a policy, because it's just kind of throwing darts at a board at this point, isn't it? Is you remember Major Payne?
Yes.
The movie Major Payne with one of the Wayans brothers.
Yes.
When he was telling the story of the guy that was wounded, and he was like, Major, I can't feel my legs. And he goes, let me see your hand. And he gives it to him, and then he breaks two of his fingers. My fingers. He goes, works every time. He just has a new problem. That's Chelsea, isn't it?
Oh, Hiram, obviously last year somehow you lucked your ass into Europe. I don't know, because you sure as fuck didn't deserve
the only
it.
person here thanking Manchester United for anything.
Yeah, it would be so Hiram, last season had to be a roller coaster as a supporter, right?
Oh my gosh, I was going through so much bullshit with like the up and down from like going from 10th to fucking 13th place, and then now ended up in 6th place, which first of all, thank you, Cole Palmer, and also thank you, Man United, for fucking up in the final minutes of that match as well, too. So but no, that was completely not what I expected, but at the same time, it is what I expected with this completely new squad that we have, because again, we've only had 3, I think, players from the last Champions League squad, and even still, like, they barely were able to scrap enough to get to Europe. So we somehow made a way, pulled through, and thanks, Cole Palmer.
So, but obviously we know the answer is 500 people is how many they've signed so far. But besides stealing managers and young players from a newly promoted side, who else have you signed so far this year? And who are some of the key departures to the squad?
Yeah, so I'll start with the departures. One notable one, in my opinion, at least, is Ian Madsen. I think that was definitely a low blow to us, especially in that left back position. Mainly because, especially if we're doing some more of that inverted play that Enzo is looking for, I think he'll be a good fit for that, especially because he is more offensive on that side. Even though we do have Cucurella, but at the same time, I'd rather have Madsen there and be more prominent than Cucurella. Along with that, another left back with a loan deal that turned permanent to Newcastle was Lewis Hall. Amari Hutchinson, of course, staying with Ipswich, who also got promoted as well too, following his loan deal. And then Malane Sarr is now in Linz.
I would say, Harm, we lost that last little bit there. Go ahead and say that again, please.
Yeah, I was just saying about the forgotten player that Poch didn't even know he was on the squad. Malane Sarr, he's finally gone now. We released him from his contract, and now he's going back to France with Linz right now.
Do you think anybody say like, do you think like somebody like Nicholas Jackson might get sold on, just, because clearly, you've got Palmer, you've got people who are going to put the ball in the net and not pull what we like to call a burner, and put it in row Z like Mr. Jackson likes to do?
I don't think so. I think if you look at it like stats wise, of course, like it wasn't that bad of a season. Like I've heard people compare his first season with Chelsea to Drogba, which is a complete stretch. I don't think it'll be anywhere near Drogba's level in the future. I would like to think he is, but ideally, I think he definitely has room for improvement, but I don't think he'll be sold on for this year, though.
Very good. Now, what is the expectations this year for the club? Because I have to imagine with the investment, they have to be high, right? It's got to be Champions League is what the thoughts got to be, right?
I wouldn't be a Chelsea fan if I wasn't delusional. So, yeah, of course, we're going top 4.
at least he knows what he is, right? That's important.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well,
no evidence to suggest that, by the way.
Young hot freshness, please plug away, and anything personally you want to plug too, go right ahead and do it. This is the place to do it.
Yeah. So, along with, of course, what you mentioned, That Town Blues fan cast, I do along with Sam Houston, of course, producer Mel, mainly in the summer because the Blues can't play anywhere in the fall or spring, but we can't control that at the moment. Along from that, of course, I do have personal projects. I am a host of a pop culture podcast called Really Be Like That. Hopefully, it's starting that up again in June, maybe August, but I don't know. Life is life in right now, so we'll see about that. But
it's already
also,
passed. Yeah, I figured.
yeah, so it's definitely been a clusterfuck these last during the summer for sure. So, but along with that, I'm actually not a member of any supporters club with Chelsea, but there is two that I do want to give a shout out to. That is the Beltway Blues, that's based out of DC. Main bar is in Arlington, Virginia. Well, I guess DMV region, but Arlington, Virginia, where Island Four Course is the main pub. Also in Baltimore, there's the Charm City Blues as well, with the Slaint Irish Pub. I believe is how you say it. Yeah, but
Slancha.
thank you. They it's the main pub for the Charm City Blues, so definitely go check them out. Again, I'm not a supporter of either of them, but I do want to represent them because, of course, as a Chelsea fan, I do want to represent everything Blues related. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, YHF. It's good to always see you, and we will see you in a few days when we do a special broadcast. Well, it's because of the backwards world, so we're doing something. You'll see it.
You're not doing it. We already did it. It went great. It was fantastic.
You're not doing it because you're being a responsible father.
Yeah.
So there you go.
He didn't do it.
Yeah,
because
he didn't do it. See, you're very good. See, that's why we keep you around, producer Mel. You're always on everything.
I'm going to produce a time loop.
So, sorry, I got to pick my kid up.
I was going to say,
you picked your kid up. It's so great to see.
Oh, that's right. To the
summer.
magic of radio. I forgot.
Good Lord.
Ken pays me a compliment about doing a really effortless transition, and then I fuck it right off by doing this. Mr. Graham, on to the next side.
Yes, unfortunately, I can't fight Brad tonight.
Oh, you love to fight Brad.
But in his stead, we've got John and Heather. They're going to walk us through all things Palace. And Heather, so far, has been distracting as shit because she's the only person with better headwear than I have, as she's been changing her hat about every 38 seconds since we've been on this Zoom. And it's been good. We've seen hot dogs. We've seen little magic hats. And there was something else. It was a black number. I couldn't tell what it was. To be honest, it was a witch's hat. Yeah, there you go. And now she has on a proper Palace cap. So, Crystal Palace moved 2 places above the Palace zone last season for the first time ever. It was like grandma spent the night out so you could put the AC down to 69 again. Yep. Felt good, didn't it? What's going on with people coming in and out of the club? We never really see a lot of movement in or out of the club typically with Crystal Palace over the last few seasons. So has anything happened this year, you two?
Yeah. So obviously Michael Elise is the big loss. He got sold to Bayern Munich for I think about 50 some odd euros, probably 53, I think, or something like that. There's also
Not
been
just like a ham sandwich at the Munich airport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully Elise does better than that. So yes, as for coming in, we have a couple of
look, we got Kamada-san. We got Daichi Kamada coming in.
Yes, Daichi Kamada.
We're gonna celebrate Japan. Come on now. Woo!
Yeah, so Daichi Kamada, who was a free transfer from Lazio and who the social media manager was very excited about because we got a good handful of Japanese themed Instagram posts and YouTube videos and
they actually translate things into Japanese on our national website now, right? Come on now, let's celebrate Japan.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is I'm glad he's coming from Lazio. That helps because I wonder if he just caught the plane back with Brighton from Japan. That's funny.
Oh man, yeah. So he came. Also, we have coming in Riyadh. He's a young guy from, I believe, Betis. He's a young Moroccan Spanish guy. Still I think he's just inside of 19. So we're still waiting on that.
to see where he goes with that.
Oh,
Ozo,
he's mixed Moroccan and Spanish.
yeah, I believe he's a
Okay.
Moroccan descent, but he's applied his trade in Spain mostly. So
Because Batiste only signed players from the Basque region. They don't have anyone outside of that region playing for their club.
Oh, really?
Batiste? Oh, okay.
So he may be from Spain. Yeah, I just don't think it's Batiste unless he's of mixed.
Okay, gotcha. I forget what Spanish
not
team it is, but
Batiste.
yeah.
You're confusing Batiste with Bilbao.
There we go.
Fair enough.
Oh, okay.
They're both in the Basque region.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Whoops.
Anyway, so yeah.
So much
so
shit
he came in
around up here. Sorry.
Yep. So yeah. So he's the other big signing. We're also getting Jake Decore back from injury. He was out for the vast majority of last season. So that's really going to help steal up the center of the pitch for Ollie Glasner. And what else? Other than that, we had very minor. Ozo's going out on loan. He's this giant beast of a guy who allegedly is like in his early 20s. So good luck to him. And on that, we have a few young guys in the wing ready to, and we're still kind of waiting to see how they will pan out. Only because, yeah, they haven't had, because Elise came to us definitely from the Champo, which again is a very, people don't give it the credit it deserves for being a very rough and tumble league. And so these guys haven't had that same sort of experience. So we're still kind of waiting to see where Mateus França, Raksaki, those are the two biggest names that come to mind, how they're going to pan out to back up Elise. We are still waiting on the SAR transfer from Marseille. I don't know where the money, I don't know, maybe they're taking a break for the Olympics or something in Marseille. I don't know, but that's still pending. We have teams who are continuously horny for Gehi and Eze. So
that was the question I was about to follow up is, do you hold on to Gehi and Eze? Because
apparently Arsenal are in for Eze.
That's those are the big pieces.
That's the big rumor.
If you lose
Eze,
yeah.
So the thing with Gehi, the man saved England pretty much. I would argue that yes, Bellingham scored all those wonder goals, but honestly, without Gehi out there, like making sure, whoever the hell they had at center back wasn't like three stooges of themselves and in front of Jordan Pickford, they would have been out of the tournament much earlier. So, however, it's kind of hard to see. I think he could fit in the Glasner system, but the Glasner system seems very much a go kind of mobile, very
anti-Roy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very much like not Roy system. So, Gerhi is a very traditional center back, not in like the slab head sort of way traditional, but he's not going to go run up the pitch too far. He's not darty. He's not like Anderson with the sick crosses and all that. So,
but that's the thing. You're still going to need a traditional center back to be there.
I think that's
to stay.
So yeah, it's hard. I would like to keep both, but I think with his creativity, I think fits better with the go-go system. Yeah. Oh yes, McGuire. Yes, the name escaped me for half a moment, but yes, it's McGuire. But yeah, I believe Eze fits better with the system. The go-go system, the mobile system. So, yeah, those are kind of like the rumors and also the general and the actual confirmed like ins and outs and quote unquote newcomers.
Awesome. All right, so you're gonna finish in 10th to 12th. Well done. You want to promote anything? I'm just kidding.
Hey, hold up. No, I mean, I think we got a chance. I mean, I'd like to see a cup run. I think we can give that a shot. I think barring having to play like Joel Ward and like Jefferson Lerma and center back, then yeah, then I think we could at least give it a shot. So, but other than that, yeah, no, it's still a ongoing project. They're doing a lot better with the recruiting locally and all that sort of stuff. So it's still building. They're not trying to shoot to get because like I think the biggest fear, which is reasonable, I might not agree with it, is especially from Steve Parrish, is he remembers like when the team was in administration and understands like it is super important. The key thing is staying in the Premier League.
Well, you don't buy a ton of players and you get your fair share of the TV revenue. I don't think there's any talk of y'all going into any sort of PSR or.
Oh yeah, no. So yeah, I think there's a very strong consciousness of like Steve Parrish of not pulling an Icarus and like flying too close to the sun, like some other teams that have done in recent past.
Yeah, but the other piece to that though is now we see in Italy with all the teams that won competitions, they're like 8 teams that qualified for Europe, right? Via either league position or because of cup winners and this, that, the other. Italy got extra positions in Europe. Both the Europa League and the Champions League are changing next season to expand to include more clubs. So if say like Arsenal and City and Liverpool perform well in the Champions League this year, you could get down to 9th place or something
in Europe,
10th place with being European spots in England. So there's every expectation, not expectation necessarily, but there's every possibility that a team like Fulham or a team like Palace that traditionally have been mid-table could actually find themselves in a European spot because of it.
Yeah, I think
but obviously just drive you one further. So also, so cup run is the big expectation. I think you could do something similar to that. That's a pretty fair shout. So plug away, promote the club, promote all the socials, all the stuff that you guys have going on, and thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, Taylor, you want to start talking about our group?
I'll do a little bit. Yeah, so we have a pretty solid fan group. We also meet at Ireland's Four Courts, and it's a very joyous and friendly crew. So we have a Twitter handle that is managed by the other guy that's usually on this podcast with you. And then Jonathan and Kim, they manage the Crystal Palace DC Instagram handle. And then I manage my own handle. But I bring joy every time. We take lots of photos. We have lots of fun. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the team stateside, and I hope that they continue to do well. And yeah, don't be shy. We welcome everybody. We even scare the crap out of British people when they come and visit us, and they drop their jaws and can't believe that Palace fans exist in America.
Nice.
I think the team is surprised that we exist in America too, if I'm being honest, guys. But that's okay. We'll just bring that joy and optimism every time and hope that Palace rides the wave with us.
Nice.
Yeah, we got fan clubs all over the states. There's one in Omaha, we got one in both LA area and San Francisco, one in Tacoma, and I think Seattle. Those are 2 different places allegedly.
There's one in Tampa, one in Miami, one in Philly. We meet all these people. They come through town. Everybody comes through DC and says hi. You know, it's pretty awesome.
Baltimore, if you go to Slancha, there's one guy who is there usually, somewhere amongst the.
There's one dude. Yeah,
I think there's at least one dude. I don't know how, because I don't.
The DC group is definitely the premier group. You know, obviously.
Yeah.
And I will, before we move on, amend my first statement. Not unfortunately, you guys did exponentially better than Brad would have. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, other than that, there's also the podcast I rely on runs the first 5-year plan podcast. They also do stuff online. Tampa Palace actually does, because he's a former scout for the Pittsburgh Pirates, so he does a lot of very in-depth, long tweet threads about like player transfers and using in post-match analysis and stuff like that. So if that's kind of your wonky interest, then yeah, definitely give him a follow on Twitter, because he's really knowledgeable about the sort of the sabermetrics, whatever that term is for football, soccer, that he's into that. So yeah, definitely recommend him.
Awesome. Thanks very much for your time, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Now, keeping the train rolling here, we're on okay time. It's still way too fucking long, but really, this is when this sounder really plays in.
Welcome to the shit show.
I need to say right now, Mr. Graham, Mr. Williams, you are allowed to do pot shots at each other, but they're allowed to be one sentence.
Who's that?
You and two, because I know you two are going to go back and forth, and then suddenly the segment becomes just the Sam and Ryan yipping at each other, which I totally get, because but still, I just don't want to.
Because we love each other.
Hey, before we get into that, is Ryan coming with us tomorrow? Because I got him a press pass.
Oh, okay. Well, that all depends on.
You mean a couple weeks ago?
I wish I will be leaving the next day on a trip overseas. And Max also has, my son has a soccer practice
With his name on it.
Yeah. Is that just taunting me again? Is that kind of what we're
no,
doing?
seriously, I will have a press pass with your name.
It's a win-win, right? I mean,
That's
it's a win-win either way
behind
for you.
And now,
You're
Ryan,
a sick woman.
you will get that press pass when you take it, when I hand it to you. Then you will know that's how you got a press pass. Everybody, 1/3 of the American Toffee podcast, our very good friend,
What's that?
A finance whiz who hates talking about finance, because especially considering it's always about our fucking club, because our guy doesn't understand how to spend money, even though he has billions. The wrong people are rich in this world, Sam. The wrong people are fucking rich. Anyways, Everton Football Club, Ryan, the last couple of years have just been traumatic, to say the least. And we've seen ourselves flirt with relegation multiple times, but for the first time in a long time, we weren't forced to sell at the end of June. We were able to hold on to some key players, and we were able to look at a club like Manchester United and say, no, this is the fucking price. We're not selling you this guy otherwise. And we've actually bought some people. So Ryan, just kind of recap where we are right now. Feel free to start talking about people that we've brought in, but it's been a very wild ride.
Yeah, it's nice too to let the football guys make football decisions. I know they're thrilled about it. I mean, they still got to operate kind of on a net zero baseline. You know, they're basically reinvesting proceeds from the Onana sale. The big loss is Amadou Onana to Aston Villa. He's a fantastic player. He's going to be awesome there. I think Villa got a great deal getting him for like 50 million pounds, could rise up to 55. I think they're going to realize in 2 years that's going to be an absolute bargain. There is a sell on. Maybe that won't be his final destination. I think Everton were a little bummed out that the midfield market wasn't what it was last year. But either way, the only good news about that is the way Sean Dyche played. A lot of the things that Onana was really special at didn't really matter as much. Dyche doesn't like to really play through the midfield. Right. So they drop Decore deeper, keep about the same depth, and probably don't lose too terribly much. So that's kind of the nice benefit of that. They sold Ben Godfrey, thank God. Lewis Dobbin in a purely football deal with Villa. Had nothing to do with PSR. Yeah, right. But either way, the incomings, I think, Sam, are really encouraging. I mean, Ilman Njai from Marseille, he's a guy that they wanted from Sheffield. They loved there. The recruitment team thought he was the best player in the championship, and I'm not going to argue with them about that. I think Jesper Lindstrom, getting him on loan from Napoli, is an absolute steal for the way they want to play. He's never really played in a team that sits back and counters, but he's versatile, play a bunch of different positions. Jack Harrison's back on loan and actually healthy. He looks good in preseason. Irabunum, the kid that they got in the deal with Lewis Dobbin is okay. I don't think he's playing a major role, but he's in. And I think that the next signing that they haven't announced, I think they're going to announce tomorrow, is Jake O'Brien, the massive center back from Lyon, who was at Palace for a year, which is so bizarre, and moved for £1 million. I don't know what Palace is thinking, letting him go for that. Honestly, his physical attributes himself were just outstanding. So I think we're really excited about him. His issues are more kind of strange. He's a strange player. He's better almost pressing high, even though he's 6'6", rather than sitting back and. I think having 3 managers last year was probably a challenge enough. I'd be remiss to mention that Neil Mopai is back from on loan. They're a lot better team for sure. I think the big issue we have right now, Sam, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's got a year left in the deal. Yes, there is a sell-on clause like every player from Lyon for sure for Jake. And there was for Palace too. So Palace recoups a couple bucks on that one. But I think that the deal is about 20 million pounds, no more for him. Hopefully that will turn out to be a steal. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a big one. He's had a contract offer sitting on his plate for about 7 months now. He hasn't signed it. I understand that he thinks very highly of himself, and he is a talented player, but the production's not quite been there. He's been injury prone in the past.
Especially with his injury record, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think he's going to find necessarily a better situation, but I can't blame him for thinking he's worth it. I just think at this point, he's just been just giving away money, you know, and Everton's not showing an unwillingness to move on a player. But I think that's the big uncertainty. I mean, Beto's a decent backup. Yusuf Trimidi is a very young kid, but super talented right behind him. They have some other players now that can play center forward if they have to. They have enough depth to deal with it, but I think that's going to be the big kicker, whether they really reinforce more. I think the rest of the window, they'd like to get another dynamic attacking threat. Willie Nonto is definitely the one that they've been after. I just don't think Leeds are going to give him up for what Everton want to pay for him. But yeah, it's a lot better team. So I think the expectations really are comfortably mid-table. I mean, I think no stress going into the new stadium. And hopefully some of the off-field stuff will finally get wrapped up this year. One lawsuit was resolved. We got one left, and hopefully that'll clear the door open for new owners, and we get Moshiri the heck out of the door and get moving.
Now,
is he going to take his crayons with him? Or
I hope he does. I hope he takes them and then
his abacus that only counts to 10
goes over to Villa.
All of it gone.
All the claret and blue ones to Ross Barkley. Now the two things, the big one on the signings. Will we please, for the love of all things good, can we please get a right back? Can we please? Is there any talk of us trying to find a right back?
Well, there was some early chatter that they're actually going to give Patterson a shot at the job. Now, Nathan Patterson's a talented guy. He just is more of a wing back. It doesn't fit at all what Dyche typically wants to do in a fullback. You want someone that's going to be sturdy, play solid, distribute a little bit from deep, or not necessarily get up the pitch.
You've seen those new pitchers. Boy apparently decided to get sturdy in the offseason. Not sure if that was hitting the bench or if that was hitting the ham sandwiches.
It was probably helping Seamus Coleman up the fucking stairs. Since he's 7 and uses a 1.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, I could see it at the end of the window, depending on how things shake out, making a deal, maybe a loan in. I think they may like to do a little center mid depth too. But I think, yeah, right back is the one. I'm with you, man. Right back is the one. It'd just be nice to have a solid starter that's good. You can rely on, plug and play and move on. They've been linked with a couple, but I don't think anything's really transpired. And I have no insider dope in terms of them focusing on one as their next target. I still think they're looking for attacking players.
You already kind of covered where you think we're going to probably finish in this season. But the one thing that constantly looms over us, unfortunately, like a cloud, and this is kind of the part I wanted to speak on, is right now it seems like we're clear of PSR. It seems like there's not any problem.
Yes,
we're using money. But, our fellow English Everton supporters are, very rational, calm people, very, very level-headed. And they're throwing around the word administration. How much rumor is that really? Does that really carry, considering the way Moshiri has financed the club and that multiple times now we've had deals break down for new ownership?
Well, the good part is that there's no impending threat on it. The stadium was refinanced by the incoming group, the Friedkin Group, who ducked out of the deal, but they still provided the financing for the stadium. None of their debt is due for an entire year, so that should float plenty of capital to exist for a while. The only hiccup right now in selling the team, besides Moshiri, who I don't think anyone should trust to make a good decision, is the lawsuits. So the first one was 777 having all their debt repossessed and taken over by ACAP. That's fine. The problem is, shows you what a classy group 777 was, is there's another group out there, Leidenhall, and I think they're a private equity firm in England. They're claiming that, no, actually, they lent us money and pledged the same assets for collateral. So that's got to get ironed out first. Once that does, hopefully that'll be in a couple months. My guess is the Freaking Group will come back in. I'd be surprised if they wouldn't. It just seemed like it was a very good match, but you'd have no idea what the economy is going to look like and how things are going to be changing. But no, I think we're okay for a while. I mean, the payments in the door, I think we'll finish a little bit higher too. And the nice part is certain guys went out the door that were making a fortune, like Dele Alli gone. Andre Gomes gone. Even Godfrey was on a big salary, and I know Onana was making.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we are not as sexy as we used to be with Andre.
And also, the last piece I have before you finish up with him is that I love the thought that you're almost relegated 2-3 seasons running, and you think all we need is a fucking right back.
Well, to be perfectly honest, we had 48 points last year. That would put us 12th. So with like the worst circumstance of any club. I mean, imagine trying to manage through that crap all year. That had to be very difficult. And that was a bad team.
It wasn't. And I like Sean Dyche as a manager. See, everybody, this is what Ryan and I do. I take one little pot shot, then he tries to approach it with rationale because he still hasn't fucking figured out that it's a joke.
I know it's a joke. I just don't care. Because I'm not going to take off my little rationality hat here. I'm trying to be a professional on this show, for heaven's sakes. That's your fault. That's your fault to keep inviting someone that has a podcast that doesn't swear and actually does work in football.
That's your problem.
So I can't embarrass myself on this show. Believe me, all the things I would want to say, you have no idea. Well, Sam's heard me say it in person. Right. But I can't. If someone finds out what I do other than this, I mean, my goodness, bad things for me. So
Ryan.
Yes.
Go away, please. All the professional good things you do.
Well, no, I can't talk about that stuff. But I will talk about the American Toffee podcast. If you want a podcast that's actually safe for work, feel free to tune in. We definitely get into the numbers. We're pretty heavy in the details. DC Toffees is my group. Wish I got down there more often. That's what happens. We have kids and they're playing soccer and you've got scouting assignments on the weekend. That's life. Yeah, it's all right. That's fine. They're a good group. And other than that, I mean, just Everton in the community. I can't say enough about that overarching charity. They've had a lot of the chapters in the United States have done a lot of stuff for them directly as well. And the North American Toffee group too. It's a tight bunch. We all really gotten to know each other a lot over all the pain these several years. But yeah, check us out. Your platform of choice. Leave us a review. 5 stars only. Thank you.
Well, 4 stars. We're 5 stars.
and you can listen to us at work as long as you're just wearing it
headphones.
Earbud.
Yeah.
You're perfectly fine then.
Just don't turn up for the theme song, man. That hits you.
Yeah, I've heard we're a really good drive. That's what I've heard. I've heard we're a really good drive podcast.
I enjoy it.
The pubs.
Yeah, precisely. All right. Well, Mr. Graham, keep it rolling.
I will keep it rolling on from probably one of our more evil guests to one of our nicest, because there's nothing I can ever say bad about Fulham because it's fucking Fulham, isn't it? Our actually quite tall friend with a very, very who owner has a very small WWE belt was pictured this week with that tiny little fucking thing that would probably look like a ring to you, Jay. Fulham, great season. Losing João Palhinha, obviously. I know that you're gonna talk about that, but that's a massive ask and could potentially hurt your whole season if you don't replace him properly. So what's going on with Fulham Football Club, man?
Well, typically we don't make any moves until the 23rd hour. So it's actually amazing that we have anything to report at this early in the stage. We've only played a couple preseason closed door friendlies, but we've made some signings and have a couple more on the horizon. We're starting with departures, right? Nobody important.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Actually, the smoke reminded me of a story I wanted to tell you after the July 3rd party.
Okay.
The next day at the pool, the kids wanted to get snowballs. I told them they couldn't get snowballs. Guess what they came back with? 6 packs of candy cigarettes.
Yeah. I'm
so,
on them.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't wait till they're 18 and they steal a cigarette truck like Beverly Hills Cop.
Yep.
Anyway, so departure. We actually lost a lot of veteran players, a lot of guys that have been on the team since the yo-yo years. Starting with Bobby Dickett-Reed. He's been with the club for quite some time. He went to Leicester. Good news, bad news. Like he's 31.
Odd move that for me.
What's that?
It's an odd move for me.
Yeah, I think he's going to play more. I think he wanted to play.
Yeah.
Right. And he will play more, but that's 2 teams in 2 different directions. I think Leicester's trying to hold on for survival and needs some senior leadership. And if we're looking to get on the right side of the top 10, we need to get younger. We need to get more dynamic. We need some playmakers.
Yeah, I mean, from their perspective, which we'll obviously come on to a little bit later in the show, speaking to Mark from Leicester, is he's kind of a like for like with Kieran Dewsbury Hall, right? He's another winger that comes in and has Premier League experience, right? So it's a decent business from their side, but it's just from the player side, especially where you all finish in the trajectory of Fulham. I just find it to be a kind of an odd move.
Yeah. And then obviously the big one was Palhinha. We've known that's been coming for a while. I mean, he almost went
in Munich in January, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was in there, took pictures in the kit and everything, and then they were like, "Oh, nope, just kidding. Nobody else wants to sell their they're number 6, so you need to come back now. So we kind of knew that was happening, and then he signed a new contract, which I think just guaranteed that we'd get proper payment for him. Wish him well. He belongs in the Champions League. We all know that. And there's big shoes to fill. But on the flip side now, Declan Rice has a chance to lead the league in tackles and earn all that money that you guys are paying him. He wasn't going to get it with Fleet in there.
That's
Even
fair.
with, 21 yellow cards or whatever he had last year.
I've heard Palhinha referred to as Portugal's longest man.
Yeah.
Because like his legs were retractable, essentially. It's funny.
Yeah, he's one of the only ones that could chase a guy down from behind and take the ball away and not get carded.
Exactly. So what are the actual expectations for your club this season then with losing Palhinha? Obviously, we would say it again because we've said it a fair few times. It's very early in the transfer window. We don't really know what these clubs are going to look like come the end of August. So what do you at this stage expect from your team?
He's going to Chelsea. And our backup keeper, Mark Rodek, went to play in the Saudi Farmers League with Mitro. Paid a load of cash. You saw today, Emil Smith-Rowe looks to be final, 27 plus 7 in add-ons. Ryan Sessegnon came back on a free.
Nice.
Everybody's really excited about that. I think he plays on the wing. He's not going to beat everybody's favorite Scouse American, Anthony Robinson, out for left back. So I see him playing on the wing. Willian is still up in the air. There's rumors he's going to go to Saudi. I don't know. He might come back for another year. And then it's looking like we're trying to figure out if we can get Andre from Fluminense or McTominay from Man U. It's just, I think Andre is the first choice because he's younger and he's going to be Brazil's number 6. But if we can't get that, then I think we'll settle for McTominay. He knows how Silva wants to play. And then
for sure.
What else? Young players. Jay Stansfield's coming back from 2 years on loan. He almost single-handedly kept Birmingham up, Birmingham City, that is. And they thought he was going to go play in League One, but they're mistaken. And then Josh King, who's an academy kid, has been getting a lot of run in the preseason and has been really bright on the field. Had a couple of big wins against QPR and Watford for what that's worth.
Yeah, awesome. So what are your actual expectations this season, you think? What is football Fulham Football Club going to be doing?
Safely mid-table. I think somewhere in that like 8 to 12 range is the goal. But I'd like to challenge for Europe. I just don't know if we have the players quite yet.
Like I said to the people at Palace, that could get you Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. And the big thing is get younger. We had a lot of players on the wrong side of 30.
Well, I mean, Williams, 51? So yeah,
he's older than me, isn't he?
Yeah.
I remember watching him play when I was a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we'll see, but I think that's the big thing is just getting more of those players under 25 so that we can sell them on to the big clubs and actually turn a profit, but also B, like not worried about those long in the tooth injuries of players over 30 playing those extra European games if we ever get there.
Right, absolutely. All right, man. So this is your time to plug away, promote your club, promote your handles on the socials, and let everybody know where they can find all things Fulham in the United States.
Okay, we'll start with podcast. It's the Fulhamish Pod. It's actually based in London. There's a couple of guys. Well, there's probably like 8 guys that do it, but the 2 big ones are Sammy James. He's on Twitter at Sammy James. And Jack Kelly, who's at Jack Kelly FFC. Actually, I had a chance to meet them when I went to London last year, so it was really cool and stayed in contact.
You're not actually friends with them though, like you are with us, so it's we're a bit more special to you.
I mean, they remembered me. Somebody didn't send me the Zoom link until the 23rd hour, but that's how we do it at Fulham anyway.
Uh-oh.
That would be on me. I had put you into the group, but I had forwarded you the email, and then I didn't have you on the whole thread to have it resent again.
For all the bants, it's fine. I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, in DC, we watch matches live at the Brig, which is in the Navy Yard. That's at Fulham DC is the Twitter handle, and there's a Facebook group, Fulham DC. If you don't want to drive into DC on a Saturday or Sunday when parking's free, you can watch with Fulham in the South. It's also a Facebook group, and they do Google Meets and watch all the games live. So when I'm not in DC, I try to catch on with the guys in the South. And oh yeah, got the scarf. Yeah, you can't really tell because I'm blocking it because I'm too close to the screen. And then all
We've jumped. Actually, Sam and I have both jumped on with Fulham in the South as well. It's a fun watch along with those guys.
You gotta give love the
Waffle House.
Yeah, the Waffle House theme for Fulham in the South. It is bloody fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's a sweet logo. And the conversation goes all over the place. So you'll learn about music theory and music history and God knows what else while the match is going on. And then the other thing was Full America. So it's a project that after the summer series last year, I think the team realized how many Fulham fans were in the States and how many groups there were. And so we've been working to kind of unite the groups and have like one American voice for Fulham fans in the States. And then the team is going to do things for us, whether it be jerseys. Like at the end of the year, we had a team jersey that was signed by all the players that we raffled off, stuff like that, just like more fan engagement stuff. And also trying to make tickets for international fans easier to get. I think that's because we'll pay more and it's a greed thing, but whatever, if it makes it easier to get tickets, for me, I'm all for it.
Last question before I let you go, brother. Is the pool gonna open this year?
Yeah. I think they're doing what they call the fit and finish, which I think is the English version of saying the punch list. But yeah, so I think they're getting their occupancy permits and all those things. But yeah, I don't know who wants to get the pool and it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but you get enough ciders in you.
Yeah, I mean, I live with cider in me. Okay, so I'm already priming the wife to March. Let's go. We haven't been to Europe for a while. Let's get on over, and I want to jump in the pool.
For better or worse, it is the easiest away day to do in London because all you have to do is buy a membership to Fulham Football Club, and then you can buy tickets.
Yeah. The other thing about Fulham is the only place in London at a football ground you can get a green tea. Fucking posh bastards.
I did not partake in that.
All right, Jay. Thank you as always, my friend.
Yeah, good seeing you guys.
Yep, you as well. Appreciate it.
Looking forward to the DU1 draft here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Interesting news about that in injury time when we get to it. Sam, should somebody want to find injury time, how do they go about that?
That's actually quite easy, man. It's patreon.com/DU Football Show. Just sign up to that one glorious $5 tier. You get all of our extra content. Injury time, as Sam just discussed, is our preview show of the upcoming week of the English Premier League action, and sound check, which is our actual sound check. Sometimes you hear it, sometimes you don't, because the sound's fucked up, because we actually are checking our sound. When you do hear it, though, you'll hear updates from our personal lives, pretty much, and a lot of dick jokes.
Yeah, well, you are a good whore.
Thanks.
I love how I just lay it up and you're like, here we go.
Well, that's it. Hey, go get us a cab.
Well, at some right? At some point we do got to whore ourselves,
right? Like Adam says in our song. Yeah, I do look good in shorts. I have no problem standing on the side of Fifth Avenue, put my leg out. Okay,
very good. Well, like I said, you a good hoe. Moving on to Ipswich Town. Regrettably, Chris is out of town and could not join us, but we did just recently do the Getting to Know You show. Which
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Technically, everyone's out of town. It's a fucking Zoom meeting.
Okay.
What's he doing?
He's in a campground in Jersey, is what he told me. So might be hard to get a little Wi-Fi going on.
Yeah,
that will be
the Jersey Gremlin or whatever they call it. That will be
a continued theme with
Welcome to the shit show.
What it is. But we're gonna go ahead and chat a little bit about Ipswich. Sam, you have the transfers pulled up for us there. It was really the big thing for them is who they didn't lose, and that's the head coach. Chelsea came a calling and he said no thanks, and then ultimately went with Leicester's manager that got them promotion. This will be a very interesting side to watch. I think a lot of people don't get that this club is a very big club, right? And that they do actually have decent finances behind them, and they do have the ability to stick around. This is not the little tiny Kenilworth Road stadium, right? You're not walking through a person's backyard, and they are a one city club, and they're supported very well. And this was a team that was an original with the Premier League. So you need to be prepared. The three teams that are coming up have infrastructure. They aren't just little guys that are going to go away.
Absolutely. And in terms of people coming in and out, one that'll be a thorn, I'm sure, in Arsenal's side is Rory Delap's son, Liam Delap, came in. So there's a fucking long throw somewhere in there for us to be pissed off about, I'm sure. Yeah. Amari Hutchinson came in from Chelsea. Not only did Ipswich say, fuck you, you're not taking our manager, they said, we're going to have him. And they left that negotiation with Amari Hutchinson, apparently. Jacob Greaves came in from Hull for $15 million. And the big one for me, there's two here with Premier League experience, obviously, is Erjanet Muric from Burnley, the goalkeeper. Obviously had one major gaffe that we all laughed at for about 6 weeks last season. But all in all, did better than young James Trafford,
yes, he did.
In my opinion, as a total body of work once he came in January. And then Ben Johnson from West Ham deputized very well for Vladimir Sufal. Obviously, when he was injured, played well, I thought, at least in the FA Cup over the last couple of seasons at right back for West Ham. So he comes in, has, not the most miles under his belt, but he's got some experience for a young player. So
he's played in the league.
Yeah, he knows the league.
Yeah.
He knows the league. It's going to be fine. He speaks English. It doesn't mean anything. But yeah, he's going to provide some help. I don't see really any major outgoings. I mean, most of the people that helped them get up are
still there.
Yeah. So it's I do like this though. One player, Silva Mexes, went to Manchester United, and Sky Sports is reporting that Ipswich have received compensation. Normally we see undisclosed. I'll put I can't see it because my screen's too bright. It just says Manchester United, compensation, which is quite funny. So yeah, that's your Ipswich ins and outs. I don't know what your opinion is, Sam. I expect them to be there or thereabout safe. But as any team coming up, especially if you haven't been there for a while, it could be difficult.
Well, one thing
I can see like a 16th, 17th finish or relegated, really.
But that's about where I am too. I would say here's the thing is we've had a whole lot of people talk and everybody said, yeah, somewhere between 10th and 12th. There's only 3 spots between 10th and 12th, and everybody said they're going to be there. So some teams aren't going to do as well. I would have them as an early pick to go down, but also this coach has really galvanized that team. No one's left. They're all coming up.
And there's nothing more galvanizing than him saying, fuck you, Chelsea, I'm staying.
Yeah.
I mean, how does Leicester, now they got Steve Cooper, Leicester did. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But how frustrating must it have been when the initial news broke, Enzo Maresca just fucks off.
Yeah.
It's like, well, thanks.
My probably my biggest fear for them is that they were the great escape artists in the championship. They always seem to manage to get a point or 3 at the death. That don't happen in the Prem. You don't get that chance in the Prem.
Fair enough.
And I think they're going to steal a few, but they're not going to steal a lot like they did in the championship.
Right.
And that's probably my biggest fear for them. And as far as supporting them, there is a local group in the Baltimore area, the Maryland Tractor Boys on Facebook. Small. They're looking to probably be at Eat, which is Egg Rolls and Tacos, which is one of the owner of Barflies, who's a Leeds bar. It's his other bar. So they're going to start doing some watch games together and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of a community building, and we want to make sure we nurture that and get people to come out to it. So Mr. Graham, keep the old trainer rolling, please.
Absolutely. I will go to Leicester Football Club, and we'll talk to Mark, our good friend, who's been with us a fair few times on this show. Mark, obviously Leicester winning the FA Cup a few years ago, the Premier League at 5,001, now starting to become distant in the mind. Coming back up at the first time of asking, got some, obviously lost your coach, a few other things. What else do you have going on at the club, ins and outs, kind of major that'll affect your season?
Sure. So I'm Mark Snyder. I support Leicester City. I am a son of a Leicester lass, so I became a Leicester supporter a long time ago. And yeah, so you mentioned 5,000 to 1 becoming distant. I think that's probably will never really become distant for Leicester. I mean, because we're still I don't know if we'll be sitting here 20 years and looking back and seeing if anybody else did a quote Leicester. I don't know if it'll happen again. I mean, it seems like it's more distant because it's more distant from anybody else doing it as much as anything else.
I mean,
Because the
fair, yeah. I mean,
finances
that'll
are
always live, but yeah.
yeah.
Same
But
number of trophies, Premier League titles as
but
old Liverpool Football Club does.
so but to what's going on at the club, we still retain a lot of talent that was a team that, frankly should have never gone down, but kind of sleepwalked into it 2 years ago. But we still have a ton of Premier League experience in this club. I mean, it's got to start with. I mean, even though he's 37, it's got to start with Jamie Vardy. One of the greatest of all time, really. And he's still leading the line. He's still got the body shape. He's still got the moves. Maybe a little bit slower, but I mean, he's still got the attitude. He'll still wind you up. So I mean, it's got to start with him. But I mean, there's a lot of other experienced players. I mean, some of them, like I think I mentioned on the podcast, they were hurt the year that they spent a lot of that time 2 years ago being hurt, and now they're healthy, hopefully going in. Who knows how long they'll stay healthy? Like Ricardo Pereira comes to mind. Wilfred and Didi was hurt for most of that season when they went down. These guys are still around. They retained them through the championship time. So that's good. That's not to say we don't need sightings. You mentioned Bobby D. Cordova-Reed coming in. We mentioned we signed a young guy named Michael Golding from Chelsea, I think, as part of that Maresca deal. Um, we've we still have players that came in last year with Premier League experience who came up with the club, like Harry Winks comes to mind, Connor Cody. So, I mean, we're not your typical club hoping to make it back in the Premier League. I think from that perspective, we should have the strength to survive. Just based on whatever the PSR deduction is, who knows what that's going to be. But in general, I don't fear being back in the Premier League.
Nice. So that being said, with that experience, with those players, what are your actual expectations for the club this year? What do you expect to be comfortably safe? Do you think you're going to be battling relegation? Obviously, you have the king, absolute king of shithousery in Jamie Vardy, which
Sorry, I muted myself, but I insist, especially sorry to interrupt, but you should refer to him by his Christian name, please.
Sorry, Jamie fucking Vardy. My
Thank
bad.
you.
And this is why Ryan Williams doesn't come on often.
Sorry, Ryan, we speak truth.
Yeah. Hashtag truth bomb. Okay. But yeah, so where do you all where are you expecting to actually finish the season and how it's gonna go?
If we're docked 10 points, then we'll probably go down, right? If we're only docked 6 points, I think we can overcome that, and we'll finish bottom half. I mean, a lot depends on just really that among other things. But I mean, I look at the Premier League, I see 13 or 14 teams that can go down any given year. I mean, it's very stratified. So we should be able to finish above, enough so that we'll be fine. But like I said, if we get a super big penalty from the PSR, then that'll be really hard to overcome. I do like Steve Cooper. I think he'll be definitely help us. I mean, Maresca did really well to bring us up, but I think he's more suited to be a big fish in I'm mixing my metaphors, but he's going to do better at a club who can put the players around him where he can play the way he wants to at the level that he's at. Leicester City was able to do that in the championship. I don't think they would have been able to necessarily do that in the Premier League. At Chelsea, he has a chance because they're going to be able to put the quality of player that he needs to play that style that he wants to play. Let's put it that
Just
way.
whether or not they buy into it that quickly, but
well,
yeah.
we'll see with that. But I mean, Chelsea is very weird because they're very, I think the Leicester City ownership will be patient with Steve Cooper. I think, as I said on our show, we've got to get off to a good start. If we get off to a bad start, then it could get ugly. But I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, and a lot of what you said also hinges upon the final PSR decision, really, when you all have the hearing. So we'll see how that plays out. Mark, where can everybody find all things Leicester in the U.S. Or personal handles, whatever you'd like to plug, my friend? Go ahead and do those things now.
Sure. So I recommend a podcast called the U.S. Foxes podcast. It's from some guys that live in San Diego, but they get some of the longtime voices of Leicester City, like the New York Foxes. Jason from New York Foxes comes on there regularly. That's a really good podcast. I'm not that hooked in with supporters group. There aren't many around here where I live in Michigan. It's still a little bit rare. But also, I do recommend just the BBC Radio Leicester, like the When You're Smiling podcast. It's a really good podcast to plug in. You still get the feel of the club. They do a lot of interviews with ex-players and things like that. And I like those. I like the announcers and the people that they bring in for that. So I would recommend that to anybody who's interested in Leicester City for sure.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Cheers for your time again. I know we just did the Getting to Know You show a couple weeks ago. Really appreciate you making some more time for us.
Well, yeah, we can have me on during the season sometimes if you want. So
absolutely will do, Mark. Thank you so very much.
Thank
you. Regrettably, we always have our good friend Russ. The reason why we always apologize for taking the Lord's name. Little funny story behind that. We've tried to curb the amount of times we say GG.
You mean Russ isn't here?
No, he's not here.
Well, God damn it.
Sorry, Russ. That is where the bit came from, because Russ is a good God-fearing man. And we talked a little bit about the amount that we curse on the show with him one time. And he just looked at me very bluntly and just said, I don't so much mind you guys using the F word a lot, but it's, you constantly take the Lord's name in vain. So I'd appreciate it if you didn't do that. So hence became, every time we said, God damn it, sorry, Russ, is what the moniker has become. Regrettably, all of my members of the cast are out of the room right now, but my dog is in the room, which is very nice. So we've got total mayhem. Let's go ahead and play the full length.
Welcome to the shit show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery, cause everybody sucks, you see, and they're dumber than a ladder. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous, ignorant, vulgar, dance, poppycock, politics, and fuckery. Well, it's all over again.
And there we go, everybody. My producer, I knew it. She went out the door. I was like, here we go. Anyways, we are going to now talk about Liverpool Football Club. Regrettably, Russ is dealing with a flat out power outage.
Wait, Russ isn't here?
No.
God damn it.
He's still going to listen to it. So sorry, Russ. Anyways, here's the thing with Liverpool. All the kind of major news happened as the season ended, with obviously the end of the era of Jurgen Klopp. No more shiny veneers to jump around in a center circle while a live match is going on and not get in trouble for it. And his long tenure showed 1 league title. So they can completely fuck off. Here's the key thing. They haven't done any real signings yet.
Yeah, I haven't done anything yet.
I mean, Arne Slot is in as the coach. There's tons of rumors.
Big rumor surfaced today about Trent Alexander-Arnold potentially going to Real Madrid.
Oh, really?
Because apparently he's super good friends with Jude Bellingham.
Okay, well,
they took a little vacation together, went to a theme park and all that.
What'll be
it's actually quite cute. To be honest.
What'll be very fun is we talk about how the Everton supporters are such rational people. Yeah, the Liverpool supporters are even more rational than an Everton supporter. I'm sure they will have nothing but lovely things to say about Jude Bellingham if he moves on. I mean, I'm not Jude Bellingham, Trent Alexander-Arnold. If they moves on, he'll no longer be the best right back ever. He'll be horrible and terrible, and everything about him will suck. Or I'm sorry, left back. But
there's a right back.
I mean, no right back. Yeah, those all of that shit. So really, Graham, with them not doing anything right now, this team's certainly going to be in transition, but there's still a shit ton of talent.
Oh yeah, big time. It really is going to depend how their team responds to Arne Slot. Is he a big enough presence and a big enough personality to keep all of those personalities on side? Is going to be the key. Obviously, coming over from Feyenoord, not necessarily the biggest pedigree, especially when you have somebody like who is so well respected and did so well. Yes, I know you make fun of them because they only have one title in Jurgen Klopp's time, but think about the seasons that they went toe to toe with City and didn't win the title, much like us, right? They finished the two highest point totals that have ever been achieved in the Premier League were achieved in the same season, right? With Liverpool finishing second by 1 point a few seasons ago. So it's a hard act to follow. I don't envy Arne Slot at all. That's going to be a difficult job this year. Yeah, Van Dijk obviously is a massive presence. Holding on to him and getting him on side and being his general in the field is going to be a massive, massive task and a massive, massive thing for them. If that particular piece goes wrong, the entire fucking thing could fall apart.
Yeah.
Not to the point that they'll get relegated because, as you say, they just have talent at the club, and they're easily, kind of finish in the 4th through 7th sort of range. But if he can't get them on side, that sort of competing at the top tier, a 98-point season could capitulate to a 7th place finish if it doesn't happen properly.
Yeah. Don't disagree. I kind of see them somewhere between, honestly, 4th and 7th. I think they'll be definitely competing for Champions League. But with not seeing what pieces they brought in, not seeing it's impossible to.
There's still rumors around Mo Salah. There's still rumors around a fair few people. No one really knows what the ramifications of Darwin Nunez being Rocky Balboa in the stands. Rightly so. I don't necessarily disagree with what he did. I'd protect my family also. That's a joke. Ryan left. It's fine. I can make jokes again. The thing is, like, that could, like Luis Suarez biting was banned from world football for fucking 8 months, right? So I don't know what the ramifications are going to be for Darwin Nunez. That's a potential hang up. Not that he'd hit the target anyway, to be completely fair, but every blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again, right?
I was going to say the Copa America, he finally hit the target, just wasn't the goal.
Well, he scored a couple times. But yeah, so it's going to be a massive season of transition here. And it really, like I said, it's all going to depend on whether or not Arne Slot can come in and be the personality and take over from Liverpool and win these superstars over.
And where can you follow them? Fuck them, don't follow them. Just they can fuck right off. Go ahead, Mr. Graham. Let's this is the part of the show where we're like, God damn, we gotta talk about, sorry, Russ, those 3 teams. And
I do have to say quickly though, because they do a lot of work with us in Baltimore. They meet at Smaltimore is their pub in Baltimore, right down in Canton. I know. But the Baltimore Liverpoolians do some good work with the Craig Willinger Fund and some of those things. They do a lot of good charity work, specifically in Baltimore. I don't know about anywhere else. Don't really care about anywhere else.
To quote,
but they do a lot of work with us. I've actually competed against them on a fair few occasions to raise money for that particular fund, playing indoor, and then we did a couple of outdoor games. So find them if you are so inclined. If you're not, no skin off my back.
To quote Randall from Clerks, I can do without a few people around the office. Like who? All of them. That is my thought process of Liverpool.
Fair enough.
All right, Mr. Graham, keep it going. Who are we talking next?
Manchester City. Excuse me. I apologize. We've got our good friend Rob here to talk. May I call you Rob? Is that all right?
I prefer Robert, if you please.
Not a problem. Robert here. Only formalities with a club of the stature of Manchester City, if you will.
Mr. Please.
Yeah, so 115 PSRs hanging over your head. We don't know what that means. We'll probably figure out by the time we retire. Other than that, going in to the season as the first ever 4-time champions of the English Premier League. A lot of rumors surrounding a fair few players, KDB being the most important one. Probably less important given Phil Foden's season last season. So what are the major incomings, outgoings of Manchester City this summer rather?
Yeah, so most of the incomings and outgoings are just rumors at this point. You mentioned KDB, Ederson, and Silva both mentioned, maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe MLS, but that's just rumors now. For actual people in and out, the big guy, the name that's on everyone's tongue for coming in is Savinho, the young Brazilian. He came from our, Evil Empire sister club, and from La Liga. They had an awesome run, and he was a big part of that. He plays out left, but he's a natural left-footed player. So, with the normal modern game, maybe he'd slot to the right. But City's deep enough. If he comes in and he plays on the left, who sits? Doku played awesome last year. Grealish has, I think, finally gotten out of the doghouse some. Pep kind of famously takes a year to get anyone into his system to really trust them. So he was the big name, but City's just so deep. He may or may not have too much impact on the actual season. He may just kind of come in like Doku last year as a change of pace guy when Grealish needs a rest, or in some of the early Champions League games just to kind of get him some burn and turn. But it'll be too early to tell how much actual run he gets in impactful games.
Yeah, somebody like 10 to 12 appearances, comes in off the bench for a few cameos, maybe starts in the cup competitions kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly. Just to take some of the full 90s off of the off of Grealish, and if they want to play him outright and they give Silva a couple of rests, they might experiment with him there too as a natural left-footed player. He normally should play on the right in today's game. In his La Liga team, he played on the left the whole time. So it'll be interesting to see where Pep plays him, because he played quote unquote out of position in La Liga out on the left. But yeah, I imagine just kind of saving the legs of the entrenched starters for the most part.
Well, if he's got a decent cross on him, the other thing is we all know Haaland's propensity for headers and acrobatics in the box. I mean,
and
to actually
that was
to cross the ball properly to him,
right. Yeah, that was how he played in La Liga at his club there. He would just his game is all about speed. He would just burn right past people, get to the touchline, get a left-footed point minutes. He led Savinho led the league last year in combined goals and assists off the dribble, ahead of Vinny Jr., ahead of Rodrigo. So he has a lot of game to him. But yeah, I mentioned, I saw them some fantasy posts about, as a sneaky fantasy pickup, all this guy does is get to the touchline, put crosses in, and that's exactly Haaland's game. Can be anyway.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing about the rumor I heard about KDB leaving, Sam, is I don't think it's going to happen personally. If you want my opinion, I think his dermatologist is probably going to say no to that and block the move, given that he's a ginger trying to move to the fucking desert. Don't think that's going to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
no goes so good.
Yeah, so obviously,
and all of his hair gel will melt too out there.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, the last 2 seasons, we have been embroiled head to head, my boys and your boys, in a very tight. This season a lot tighter than last season. Obviously, we were alive to the last game this season. You're must be targeting a 5th in a row, right? Is that pretty much what you're looking for? Or is it back to the Champions League perch more important to you? Where do you think Manchester City are going to go this season?
I mean, the past kind of 10 years, it's kind of been, City or the field for who wins the EPL. Certainly, there's a lot of speculation this might be Pep's last year in charge of the club. Obviously, that was kind of the same storyline with Klopp last year. There'll be a lot of, oh, let's win it for Pep in his last year if he decides or announces sometime around the season that this is his last year. Certainly now with the current administration and regime, if one wants to use that word, in charge, like a title in the EPL is certainly the goal and is obviously very attainable. I don't know if any club that's won 4 titles in a row can say it'll be a disappointment to not win it in any given next season. I was talking with Kenny and some of our other EPL friends last season. I was really admitting that I thought Arsenal had it. I think Arsenal is a much more exciting and dynamic team. They're a lot younger. And I think that a lot of the City players are kind of, I won't say tired of Pep's system, but you can only play so often doing to the exact championship standards that a coach like that requires before inevitably you just feel a little bit burned out. I think Arsenal's
it's just that you're absolutely right. It's his intensity that people get burned from. I mean, the Bayern Munich players after he left Bayern Munich complained about him for the last 6-8 months that he was there, and then 3 months into him being gone, everybody's like, "Well, what do we do with our hands now?" Kind of thing.
Yeah, I coming to this season, you got to say City's the favorite. 4 in a row, you can't sneeze at that. Would I be surprised if they finished second? No, but certainly City being on top is the goal and be realistic. And really, it's hard to bet against them. The way that Pep seems to be able to dial them in the second half of the season.
Absolutely. Anything you'd like to plug here for all things Manchester City, United States, Visa, MasterCard, I'm sure all things are accepted. But
I mean, the way things are going now, I think crypto might be the better bet. Something that's a little bit more in the shady realm, a little bit less regulation. And obviously, just to jump back real quick, for next season, if those 115, if there's some big decision or announcement made, who knows how that affects the morale of the club? They could be docked 50 points and be down in champions next year. Who knows?
Right.
But for
I
stuff
still think you'd make up a 50-point deficit.
Well, they'll just buy it back one way or the other. Things to plug. I live in Arlington, right outside DC. I've gone to a couple of watches at Ugly Mug and Valor Brew Pub right there in Barracks Row. They're right next door to each other. They are the City watch spots in DC. For all things social media, Man City Blues is your Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram follows. So that's where to get all the news. I'm not much of a podcast guy, but I know that the Noisy Neighbor podcast is kind of fun and silly. I've listened to a couple of them, and they're kind of a good follow.
Probably real fans of City as well. Not the I'm not talking about you, but these guys have to be, because that's obviously a dig at Sir Alex Ferguson.
Right, of course.
Yeah, any City fan who actually goes to the effort of putting a podcast or something together is probably a real City fan. There's not really a ton of them, and I won't even say us. Not really a ton of them out there. Given everything that the history of the league and everything.
If you do want to find something Man City, though, just do me a favor, tweet, whatever you want to call it, anything, email, fucking send a letter, carrier pigeon. Tell Noel Gallagher to fuck off. I am tired of it. Okay. It's getting old.
Yeah. He's not quite getting to like Mick Jagger, but it's time for him to be kind of taken out back and at least, if not shown the gun, at least shown some greener pastures.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, Robert, I think it would only be fitting, considering that our Manchester United person who does the show every single year had bailed on us an hour before the show. I think that it's quite important, quite important, that you, as a City supporter, should probably go ahead and introduce the people you like to be loud at, Manchester United. Is there anything lovely you'd like to say about them, since we have this open forum?
Well, I'd like their current run of injuries with their U.S. tour to continue. I saw Højlund is out. He tore up at the end of last season, and I saw he got to be pulled from their U.S. tour game. So I'd love their run of injuries to continue. That'd be amazing.
I said it all of last season. I'm going to go ahead and say it this season. I'm going to just give the precursor. They're a bunch of fucking frauds, Graham.
Yeah, 100%.
Like we
should probably give Robert his dues first, though. Thanks for joining us, man. Really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
The absolute audacity of being like, yeah, we rate Jared Branthwaite 35 million.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just, I mean, it's
the fuck completely off. And then when we go, no, we rate him at 70, instead of saying, well, that's a little high for us, how about 50? They just go, don't you know who we are? You should be selling us him for fucking 30 now that you've fucking insulted us by our offer. Fuck you. Like,
yeah,
it's fucking downright insulting, honestly. And then they go up and they oversign for someone that's less of a player than Branthwaite, and then that guy gets hurt.
He's only 18 or something.
Yeah. I just
I mean, that club's middle name is Audacity.
Yes.
And sometimes it operates like Audacity is right now, and sometimes it operates like Audacity did last week. If you know, you know.
And just fucked off sound
If you
check.
know, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the amount of hours on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said fraud, I thought you were going to talk about Ray being a fraud, giving us an hour's notice.
I mean, another plastic, really, right?
Do you know who always comes on time?
Who always comes on time?
Smooth motherfucker, Alan.
There we go, Mr. Graham. Let's talk Newcastle with my brother from another.
At least I do get a nemesis tonight.
Me and Graham back at it. Everybody mute yourselves. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, beautiful.
It could get sexual.
Hold
We're
on,
not
let me
sure yet.
rearrange the order in here. There you go.
So let's go, beautiful.
Yeah,
Let's
come
do
on,
this
baby.
thing.
Let's ride. So the PIF posse have not been able to inject the amount of money that City did when they bought their club. So there have really not been any major signings that I've seen necessarily. There's been a lot of speculation about Anthony Gordon because he could probably attract a fair few quid. Nothing really concrete. I have seen some speculation big time, though, and some concrete evidence about Bruno Guimaraes. So why don't you tell us what's going on with Newcastle's ins and outs, because it seems like you do need to sell to be able to buy.
A whole lot of fucking nothing. Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. I don't know that we necessarily need to sell too much more at this point. I think us getting whatever fucking astronomical fee Nottingham Forest gave us for Elliot Anderson, and 35 million from Brighton for the youngster Minta. Yeah, I think we're okay. It's really just finding the deal at this point that keeps us within rules. Obviously, we don't want to break any rules.
No, famous for that. No rule breaking. Can't do that.
Yeah. But still,
they're always so honest about it.
I mean, the rules are meant to be there.
Yeah. No, look, they're an upstanding, theocratic republic. I think they have some ideals, and they don't want to break any rules, man. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Unless you're a fucking journalist.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
I was like, I do not support the regime. Just I love my team. And they're just owned by them.
Real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you. I do want you to
please do.
But I have to point out that Heather is now full into her "Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego" look for people
like
of a certain age. If you, that's brilliant. Well done.
I appreciate it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good, man. No, I mean, there's nothing to write home about. I mean, I guess we signed Lewis Hall permanently.
For a long time, mate.
Yeah, that's a signed Lewis Hall. Yeah, we just don't suck quite as bad as back in those days. But Lewis Hall, I guess technically is new signing. Can I do that? Can I be that guy? We got a Greek guy whose name I can't pronounce. It's Odysseus with a bunch of other fucking consonants together and a couple of O's.
With a line through it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a goal. So he's a goalkeeper, so he does goalkeeping stuff.
If he
Lloyd Kelly,
he'd be driving a cab in New York, right?
That's right. You got it. Lloyd Kelly, that's good. I think that's a good one. That's good depth for us. That was free from Bournemouth, center back. But other than that, fucking nothing, man. Whole lot of nothing. Rumor mill. There's Bruno's always going to be talked about. I think Gordon's obviously going to be talked about. just saw though.
Even Isaac still possibly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Arsenal has been the strongest club linked with him, and I don't think we have $100 million to drop on one player. I think we're kind of shopping in the 60 to 70 range max.
Yeah.
Now this ESR deal to Fulham may give us a bit more money to be able to spend on Isaac. I'm just not sure Arteta's actually going to pull the trigger, to be honest, especially with his injury record.
And I just don't know that. I just don't know. It's going to take something. I think north of 100. You know what I mean? Like, the spine of the team.
The end of last season, the number quoted was 100.
Well, the spine of the team is well under contract. Most of them have just signed new contracts with upgraded wages that suit the caliber that they are. So, like, Bruno's comfortable. Isak's fairly comfortable. There have been no real rumblings, at least that I've heard, that any of them are really discontented. I think Howe likes to keep it that way. He wants to keep that spine, that Isak, Bruno, Botman kind of two windows was really what he wanted, and he's been building around that. So I don't think they're going to go anywhere. There's been talk about what is his name, Malik Diaw from AC Milan. I think that'd be a decent pickup. I think we're just off valuation wise. Surprise, surprise. Newcastle lowballing. That's what we do. So we'll see if we can bridge the gap there, but that would be nice. Other than that, man, I think we need. You want to know what I think we need? We need another center forward. We either got to get rid of Callum Wilson, or he's already on the fucking treatment table, and we haven't even started. So, we got to get stronger there, and we definitely. I think the center back is nice. Another full.
Nice.
Okay. So we'll see what happens.
To come up with another comparison briefly is you remember the episode of Seinfeld that won the Emmy, the contest? I feel like Callum Wilson is Kramer in that situation.
Right.
Everybody's like, all right, it's preseason. Let's work out. Let's get things ready. Let's get fit. Let's do stuff. He comes walking in. Well, I'm out of the contest. He already had a wank, fell off the top bunk, and he broke his wrist.
Yeah,
That's
already.
Yeah. It's basically
Wilson to a fucking T, man.
Yeah.
He'll come back in 6 months. He'll score 8 goals in 3 games, and then he'll fuck right off again.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's for Isaac to get fit.
8 goals in 3 games, and 4 of them will be against Everton.
Yeah.
He loves to score on Everton.
Exactly right.
God, the man loves to score on Everton.
Alan, with all that, my friend, what are your expectations for the season? Obviously, Eddie Howe could be part of the problem with the injuries, the intensity that he demands every day in training. Of course, everything's full-blooded. I think a lot of your injuries stem from injuring each other, which is a bit of a shame. To understand why he does it, but doesn't make a ton of sense, to be completely fair. What are your expectations this season, man? Are you challenging for Europe again? You think we one rumor we didn't talk about is Kieran Trippier possibly fucking off as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's definitely gonna fuck off. I don't know where he's gonna fuck off to, but I think he's definitely fucking off.
Well, I think Bayern Munich is inquiring about his availability. The last thing I read, so as well as a couple of other clubs. Being a little older with his vast experience, they can be somewhere between 12 and 15 million could probably get Trippy on somebody else's books, which would be huge for their club, regardless of who they are, to be honest.
Helps our wage bill.
So where do you finish this season, bro? What happens?
I think we are trying to push a top 4, but I think me, the pragmatist. I think realistically 6 to 8 again is probably realistic unless we make a couple big signings coming down the pipe here. I do think you're right about Eddie Howe. I think that was also probably him navigating European football and training a team the way he wants them to play, but also on a European schedule with everything else going on. Learning curve for everybody, right?
Just more curveball at you as well. He's being touted for the England job. Now he's coy about it, says he doesn't want it. He's focused on Newcastle, but there was a little weird asterisk caveat to the end of it where he said, as long as I'm allowed to work in the way that I want to work. So somebody's obviously had a conversation with him about the way he works.
Yeah. I think it's
good fuck off.
Yeah. You've got a new, sporting director with Ashworth fucking off to Man United. Amanda and Murdad kind of stepping back, who have been they were the spearhead in the transfer, and they kind of settled things business-wise on the football front. I think they were Eddie's liaisons to both the Saudis, which was the purse strings, and Darren Eales signing off on deals around Europe. I think that that link is gone for him. So Eddie's just like, all right, man, new front office. I get it. Much more experienced football front office, better for the club. As long as they let me do my thing, I'll be happy. We'll fucking see. If he leaves, he leaves. I think Newcastle has become a much more attractive post in the last 2 to 3 years. I don't think we'll have too much trouble finding a manager if that happens, but hopefully it doesn't. I like it.
I mean, as long as you don't have morals, yeah, it's great. So Jordan Henderson next.
Got
it. Perfect.
Yeah, whatever. If you want to spend some money, we got it.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, thank you, obviously, for your time. As always, as much as we have a very simpatico love-hate relationship. It's always a joy to see your face, my friend.
You too, buddy.
Everything Toon Army Baltimore, please. You're one of the good groups up there that I prefer to kind of associate with. Not you, the rest of them are
not me particularly. Yeah, I understand that.
Beings.
No,
well, you said a sex doll to a football match is always encouraged, right?
A Macam sex doll, though. It's very specific.
It's fine. I mean, it only cost me 50 cents to take it into the bathroom for a minute. It was great.
And free cheesy chips on top of it.
The good news, he was the 5th to go.
Yeah.
That's what it's getting
gross. Too far? That might be too far.
Too far.
All right.
Yeah.
Right,
Anyway,
so go ahead and rip everything Toon Army Baltimore, my friend.
Anyway, yes, Toon Army Baltimore. Come see us. We're at the Abbey in Mount Washington. You can see us there for all games, televised, streamed, pirated through fucking torrents. We don't know. We just get them on the television and we play them and drink some beers. So come join us. Toon Army Baltimore on Twitter, Toon Army Baltimore on Facebook. The Mobtown Magpies is also a nice little nickname we have. So if you Google that, you'll find us as well. Yeah, come see us. We love you.
Very good.
Nice, brother.
I often wonder, are they going to fight or are they going to fuck? When I two of you together, it's like, are they going to start punching each other? Or are they going to start like making out with tongue?
I think this was after the initial 38 seconds. I think this was the makeup fuck from the initial fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last 6 minutes.
I was gassed up earlier about it. I was like, yeah, I get to fuck with Graham, and then it got real nice. I just love it. It's got real sensual.
I know how to do it.
Yeah. This is aggressive love right here.
Yeah.
It's time to talk about another team that has recently gained promotion. So, Mr. Graham, go ahead and keep it going.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it going with this one because this is my former neighbor and good friend. We lived near each other for almost 9 years. It is my good friend Kenny, who now lives in Narnia. Hey, buddy, talk to us about Southampton Football Club. Have you sold anyone to Liverpool yet? Is the first question.
No.
You lost 9-0 yet.
No, and no. So if we go through this window and the next window without sending anybody to Liverpool, I would be happy. That to me is as good as winning an FA Cup.
Yeah, fair enough. After the last 15 years, yeah, it makes sense.
So I know we talked about it. I'll just kind of get right into it. One of the things we were talking about on the Getting to Know You pod, we talked about a couple of players that came in, Harvard Bellis. But one of the ones that I mentioned on there was Flynn Downs. Russell Martin loves Flynn Downs. We were able to get that deal over the line. So he is officially in the team. When they announced him, when they dropped the new kit with the most disgusting sponsor logo on it in the history of sponsor logos. But again, if anybody wants to go Bitcoin gamble in your free time, roll bit. Have at it. Blocked in this country, but I'm sure with a VPN you could go and have some fun over there. But so we got Flynn Downs in officially. So that's big for the midfield. And again, Russell Martin was giving him a kiss. I think he was literally in love with the player, kind of like watching Hugh and Allen right there, is how Russell Martin feels about Flynn Downs. So got him done. The latest rumor today was Ben Brereton Diaz, I believe, has agreed. He was at Southampton for medical today, 25-year-old winger. So that'll be a nice little boost because Shea Adams has officially left us. Adios. He's going to go to Italy, drink some wine, and then kind of shit the bed when the pressure's on. So thanks, Shea. but I wish you all of the best moving on. So,
Everton Diaz, that's a hell of a signing. He, in a very short span, really had a big impact and was really the only highlight of Sheffield United. And frankly, his time at Birmingham City, he was a bona fide goal scorer, and it looked like he can do it in the Prem. Like, that's the vibe you get.
And I think where he is a little bit more dynamic than Shea Adams was. I mean, obviously Russell is all about movement, right? We want to own possession, and then we just want constant movement. And I think that's where Adam Armstrong was able to kind of take that and chomp at the bit and outscore Shea Adams last season. I think he would fit in there nicely. So all the reports say it's basically a done deal. Did medical today, so will likely be announced tomorrow. Everybody says they want another attacking piece. I would love to have another attacking piece. There's been rumors to Celtic for Matt O'Reilly. They keep upping the bid. Celtic want about $20 million. Matt O'Reilly just scored a goal against Chelsea in one of these exhibition games over here in the States. They've potentially added throwing Shea Charles back. He's a younger center back. Again, with some of the additions we had on there, it might be a nice little piece to kind of up the value, up the switch. But other than that, nothing's really changed outside of the getting to know you episode. Our new right back, Yuki Sugawara, scored a goal in one of the exhibition matches as well. The main thing that I think everyone's kind of waiting on is the Kyle Walker-Peters drama. Was heavily invested to West Ham, and I think that was part of the reasons why Sugawara came in, was to fill that void at right back. But now Kyle Walker-Peters is still a Saints player, so I don't know if they look somewhere else to push out a right back. I know some teams who spoke earlier were interested in a starting right back. I'm sure that he could fit the mold there if the valuation fits. But
we don't need money to give you.
Well, we could probably work with it.
But there's also, you're the blue half of Liverpool.
That would be just totally wrong.
They wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, that's true. They would not know what to do with themselves.
To be completely fair. And two things just one thing about what you just said. Everybody's waiting to see what happens. Nobody outside you and the people that live within 5 miles of the city limits or give a fuck about Kyle Walker-Peters, to be honest.
I mean, all right, that's how you feel. But I mean, if you look at his stats and what he did in the championship, I mean, there were pretty big, rumblings of him, and Southampton's proclivity for 3 named players, especially with hyphens. So
the old double barrel last names, they do love those down there.
We certainly do. And again, so if he goes out, we replace him with Harwood Bellis. So the only other 2 things that we have coming, they were trying to get. They're trying to get them to come in. They're guys from Sao Paulo, Wellington, who plays left back, and just a guy who goes by Juan. He's an attacker. They're going to be joining in January.
Wellington and Wonton. Got it.
Yep, exactly. But they're going to be joining in January. They couldn't work out a deal to get them in the summer transfer window. So, I think they were trying to get Wellington in to start him at left back since Perot went out, but. Again, we'll look to have him join in the January window, and who knows, maybe it's Kyle Walker-Peters and Sugawara starting in left back and right back. So to be seen, but they've actually been pretty out on the front foot in terms of bringing in players. I know a lot of teams on here just not really have a lot of movement, but I think the squad depth, especially getting Flynn down, was a good piece to get that done. So
yeah, for sure. All right, dude. Before I let you plug anything, I have one more shoehorned 9-0 reference to get in here real quick.
Well,
bring it on.
Twice, Sam, because it happened twice.
It did happen 2 times.
So you got to make sure you mention it twice.
But how is Russell Martin going to do splitting his job between that and Coldplay? That's Chris Martin. It's the 9th thing I've gotten wrong tonight.
Man.
Been thinking of that just 30 seconds.
You're just trying to jam it in here. I mean,
that's what
Carly's the lucky woman.
I'm not
Carly's
above
the
it.
Lucky woman.
Hey, listen, at this point of the night, I'm just thumbing it in. Okay.
Welcome to the shit show.
But you know what? Based upon this and all of these jokes,
I
I'd
love
like to.
Robert.
I
And
would like
Heather
to.
are still here.
I would like to change my official prediction. In your honor, I'm going to say Russ Ball takes over the Prem and the Saints finish ninth.
Yes.
There
Get
we
in.
go.
He's finally bought into it. I love it. Well done, man. As always,
Wow.
thank you for joining us from Narnia. Please plug away all things Saints USA and tell people where to find the second worst city on the South Coast.
Damn.
Listen, shitty port
There's one worse than them.
shitty port cities have a bright spot in my heart. Southampton
Which is
and
why
Baltimore.
Port City is my favorite.
I broke out the old Under Armour jersey again, just Baltimore connection. Two places that you find the most interaction with United States Southampton fans are United States of Southampton FC on Facebook. I tended to leave there because they were all talking about England, and then they all started talking about it coming home and yada 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 yada. Narrator, it did not come home. And then Saints FC on Reddit is where you will find me contributing. That was a great burp. Whoever came in there at that, that was fantastic.
My bad. Producer Mal.
Sorry.
Was it? Wow.
Yeah, that was producer Mal.
Damn.
Was my mic on?
Apparently.
Hell yeah. Did you shut the fridge, Sam? Because you got a beer and you didn't shut the fridge like a dick.
It did shut the fridge.
Yeah, that was what if you noticed, I was pointing at Mel and Mel kept looking at what was on the table, looking at me, and I kept pointing behind her. It's because the fridge was wide open.
I don't think the floor is level.
Yeah, no, it's probably
not.
Okay.
It's not my fault.
Well, thank you all for having me again.
Sorry.
Ken, it's always good chatting with you.
Hey, three
you guys.
times of a 9-0 reference is too many, but there is this season.
Hey, thank you, my friend.
It will not happen. It will not happen.
No, they're not going to do it again. They're going to go for 10.
No, because they sold Vestergaard, so it's fine now.
Yeah, it's all fixed.
Oh, and we are agreeing to terms with Sam's favorite Polish center back, Jan Bednarek. Advanced talks to extend his contract. So.
Oh no.
Now we all know Graham is trying to delay the inevitable, but
dude, he's actually here. Y'all don't scare him away.
Been here the entire time.
I know.
I did notice there was some issues with the video. He had to switch up a little bit on there.
His wife came and helped for a bit.
There's some stuff going on, but he stayed with it wasn't magically unmuted like during the middle of it, or he did a hell of a job. So our boy Mark, who is a lifelong supporter of Tottenham Hotspur, and
the only one in his family, by the way, because anyone else that I've ever met or spoken to on the phone all support Arsenal.
Yeah, that's very true. So Mark, here's the big thing. I think we all looked at this past season going in. It was like, what is Ange going to offer? What is it going to be like life minus Harry Kane? And outside of the fact that there was a horrible run of injuries, just a god-awful run of injuries, you'd have to say, and Mark, make sure you unmute yourself before you start talking, because I just know he won't. I'm just staying ahead of it.
I've been sitting here asking.
The key thing is going to be with that is that the team actually had a hell of a year, minus those injuries, and Ange's process worked. So Marky, just a little bit about about last season as a whole from you.
Well, to be honest, I was very happy the way the man came in and put himself about. He's obviously being a manager in Scotland, and as well as me, there's only 2 teams in Scotland, so you can't say the man has proved himself either way, but to me, I would say he was very successful in his first full season.
Certainly one of the key things that's been necessary for this team, and this was even before Ange came in, was the team needed to get younger, and it appears that they really have it, and so is there anybody that you've moved on from here at the end of this past season, and what are the key signings that you've made so far?
Well, to be honest with you, obviously the main one that sticks out is obviously Harry Kane. You know, moving on, did the team progress and move forward? I think 100%, because, you know, to me, in my eyes, it seems as though everyone was in the Tottenham dressing room was glad to see him go. You know, it may not seem that way, but I believe it did, because it looked like he seemed to have a lot of issues with a lot of the other players, and it was as if it was a weight off everybody's mind that he was finally gone. And for me as well, as much as I love Harry, it was a blessing that he was gone. And you can see with the likes of Son and a few other players, it was their chance to really shine, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it also, let's face it, the addition of like Van der Vaart back on defense, he was absolutely brilliant, and his pace and his ability to just be able to catch people from out of nowhere, was really a saving grace for a team with Ange that does so much pushing forward, that the way you're going to beat a team like Tottenham is on the counter, and neutralize that.
Well, but there was the key though, is when his hamstring literally fucking exploded in front of our eyes, is when Tottenham started that dismal run,
right?
Because he wasn't there.
Most definitely with the Chelsea game, you know, it was from start to finish. Really, we was all over him. It was the fact that with Romero being sent off for, I'd say, a 50-50 red card, and then Van der Ven pulling the muscle, it was just the downfall. But even with two players down, I believe we still had the majority of the play. And, you know, to me, I just see more and more exciting things happening with Van der Ven. He's just a quality player, and he's got age on his side. It's just my only concern with that young fella is how long we can keep hold of him.
Right. Very true. Now, again, we were talking about the kind of going younger, and you see, you know, like Dyer, Perisic have moved on. The big one is the signing from Leeds. Now, I know I don't expect him to really impact a lot this season, but Gray from Leeds was flat out, far and away, Leeds' best player last season in the championship, and a bit of a creative force, and somebody that, you know, obviously Madison's going to be the primary string puller, but now if you lose him, you have someone, it seems, to fill that spot.
Yeah, like I say, Leeds last season with, you know, Gray, he was unbelievable. And to expect something out of someone so young in that short space of time was unbelievable. And to me, I already see a young version of Frank Lampard in him. And he's already shown up in the two short games we've played this pre-season, and he's been outstanding. And you can see the guy, he has the talent. He's great on the ball. He's not afraid, and he can also score goals. So, you know, hopefully it could be the complete package.
But like Lampard, he arrived late.
Now,
good one, Sam.
Hey, cheers.
So, Mark, what is the plans for this season? What is the expectation? Is the expectation simply to make sure you're in Champions League, or do you think, because Liverpool might be slipping off a little bit, that there is a chance to possibly play spoiler with Arsenal and Manchester City?
Well, I'll be honest, and this breaks my heart to say this, and Sam's going to love it.
Oh, come on. No, make sure we're recording.
I honestly believe Arsenal are the team to beat this year.
Come on.
And, yeah, it's sad from a North London supporter to say this, but I don't see City keeping it up like they did the last few seasons. And the way Arsenal are playing and bringing in new investments, I think they're the team to beat. And like I say, it's just heartbreaking to say it, but I'd say, if obviously not this year, but this year, I'd like to say we can break into the top four, but that all depends on a couple more signings with the likes of Tony and Eze, and even maybe Chaser from Juventus. Obviously we keep keeping our fingers crossed. We get a couple more signings. Obviously, Eze in midfield helping out Madison, and my opinion, I'd like to keep our faith in our young boys up centre forward. I think we've got a couple of boys there that it's not too big of a step for them, and I think they can do the job. But with those maybe 2, maybe 3 more signings, I think we're definitely a top 4 chance.
So, Mark, go ahead and promote away. Are there any forums, any groups that you like to chat with regularly, or anybody that you listen to back home that you really like what they have to say about Spuds?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. There's only 1 or 2 guys that I speak to back at home, and they've got nothing but high praise for Tottenham, and maybe not this season because he's the guy's trying to bring in a real young squad of players, and is as well as anyone else, it's not going to happen overnight. But if it does, I'm going to be over the moon. I'd like to see us, like I say, push for 4th, maybe get a trophy in one of the cups, and a long run in Europe, and I'm good as gold. I'm a happy man.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
But you know what? Leave it to Tottenham, though, right? A Southern Hemisphere Englishman to turn everything around.
Well, before you let me go on that side of it, as far as obviously our side, I'm happy the way we are, and I see that Arsenal have got probably the best defense in the Premiership, but
football.
Well, bollocks. I don't think that defenses win the Premiership. You have got no one up front, and as far as I'm concerned, Jesus ain't going to help your main man, who you think he's quality, but I think he's a drop in the ocean. I think he's a lump of shit. So
it remains to be seen, and we'll see what happens.
Well, like I say, I'm afraid that it's going to be your boys that's going to be the ones to chase, but you need an out-and-out number 9, and Jesus and whatever that other donkey German is ain't going to do it for you. So you need someone else.
I gotcha. All right, Mark. Cheers, man. I appreciate you always.
Hey, love you guys. I miss you guys. And you, Mel. I love you a bit.
It's a shame. I was all ready to hit the shit show button because normally it all goes horrifically wrong for Mark's computer and everything. But
Mark was great,
bloody fucking brilliant. Yeah. It worked out magnificently.
Thank you very much, guys. I love you a bit.
I love getting messages.
We got to get up for a drink soon, bub.
Absolutely,
most definitely. Love to.
All right, Mr. Graham. It's only poignant that you're the one that introduces this next team because.
Me?
Yeah. Well, because because our guest, who is not here, is an international man of mystery, and not the international man of mystery, but he's a man of mystery.
Yeah, and, but I thought his propensity for the herb meant Mel was going to do it.
I don't know.
She's ready. She's got vape in hand. Right?
I mean, where's the script? Why didn't we get Scotty?
We did not. Yeah, we should have probably reached out to Scotty as well. But
Scotty would have done it in a heartbeat. Scotty will do anything for me.
Yeah, but he can't do it because Scotty doesn't know. Because nobody told him.
Why don't we just
don't tell Scotty?
Why don't we just skip West Ham and move on to Wolves?
We can't.
Danny's here.
We can't. Sam just passed it to me.
All right.
Here, do you want my pen?
No.
All right, do you want me
I
to read
won't
it?
be able to drive home.
I did a great job about Lindsay.
Well, I read it along. You didn't. The Dildo brothers haven't really done much this summer, have they? They brought in Max Kilman from Wolves for $14 million. That seems to be their big signing. They got Wes Foderingham from Sheffield United on a free which is kind of huge. Probably as their backup to Areola.
They needed a decent backup. They got a good backup. And
Lucas Fabianski, I still think was pretty quality, but it was apparent that he is starting to wane.
Yeah, well, and also for him, it's his opportunity to kind of
prove himself a bit.
Well, Potterington needed a new start, and he's got it, and that was important.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they brought in Luis Guillermo from Palmeiras for $25 million. So, well, I don't know who that is. They did lose, however, Saito Benrahma to Lyon for $13 million. So kind of almost traveling the same way as Dimitri Payet did a few years ago. If you remember, he obviously ended up in Marseille, but for a lot more money, actually. But losing somebody to the French league is difficult. Flynn Downs, obviously Kenny spoke brilliantly about him moving to Southampton and how important that move was for them. Other than that, Ben Johnson was a backup, but still a decent backup. I don't see many major outgoings besides a big one, a stalwart for fans of the Premier League for a long time. Angelo Ogbonna was just simply released.
Yeah,
he was a bit older, so we've been watching him for a pretty long time in the Premier League, and specifically for West Ham. A player I've always admired, worked hard, solid center back, just did things, club man, just did things pretty well and pretty honest. And this game's missing a lot of those kind of people. So it's a little sad that he was just simply released and, as I'm aware, simply without a club right now. So for West Ham, for me, expectations for the season, I don't really have many at the moment.
Likewise.
I avoid relegation is going to be the big one. They have Lopetegui, different style of play. They've kept hold of most of their first team players. Most of their high up the pecking order reserves are still there. The big deal, like I said, is Benrahma going and the experience and leadership of Ogbonna. How are they going to cope with that? Can they replace that? We'll see what the Dildo brothers do.
I fear that they may still lose people. I think
so too.
Bowen might be one of those guys that goes right on transfer day, deadline day. I don't necessarily have a ton of faith in Lopetegui.
Not after what happened to Wolves, you can't.
Yeah, you got to be kind of concerned there. This is one of those teams I could see really dropping like a stone.
Yeah,
and as boring as David Moyes was, they were always fucking safe. And in fact, they were always in the top 10.
But so let's look at that briefly, very briefly, because there's only a few clubs we can talk about it. Tony Pulis at Stoke all those years, consistently mid-table in the Premier League.
Yeah,
we want to play exciting football. Let's get Sparky in. Let's get old Mark Hughes in. What happened? Tailspin.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Everton. David Moyes again got shit on.
Yeah.
We want to play exciting football. He wants to, he's Sir Alex Ferguson's heir apparent. He's leaving. He left.
Roberto Martinez. One good season.
Right down.
Yep.
Let's look at who's the next one that I had in my head a second ago, because you already said West Ham's David Moyes. There was another one, and I don't remember him.
Well, that wouldn't be Big Sam Allardyce, because he's now gone down twice.
Yeah.
Well, enough talk of West Ham. Let's get to the final club of the evening. And last year famously sat in a tie the entire time we were doing this thing, and it posed himself as the new hope for Wolverhampton, because we had no idea who the coach was. And as it turned out, Cat you hired did a pretty fucking good job, Danny, didn't he?
Hell yeah. I think so. I think a lot of people do.
Well, now going into...
a lot of people do what? Good jobs?
Yeah.
By that statement.
Well,
there's only one man for this job.
I'm so glad we waited for Danny's commentary.
Well, Danny's got a lot on his mind, because remember, we saw him at the game on Wednesday a few weeks ago, right? That's right. Wink, wink. That's what we did.
I mean, he's still recovering from that match. It was intense.
Danny, I think we look at clubs from last season, and yours, you want to talk about like riding a roller coaster, right? It was, where the hell are we going to be? What's going to happen? And then you see your team really kind of push up the table to then, like a lot of other clubs, really get bit by the injury bug. And at one point, you were flirting with Europe. You were right there in the conversation and you were winning games, but a lot of it really came down to Cunha and Wang getting hurt a ton and Neto getting hurt a ton. Going into this season, I already know you've made some pretty big moves. I just listened to a whole lot of Wolves the other week and talking about the people that you guys have signed. Talk a little bit about what the plan is and who you've brought in so far to kind of help fill the void of injuries with your side.
Yeah, this has been a crazy off season for us. I guess for any team, mid to lower table, is that we were actually getting our transfer business done fairly early, which for anybody who isn't loaded with money is just very difficult to ever do. Obviously the sort of like paperwork one was Tommy Doyle being made permanent, but I think everybody's really happy about that. For £5 million, that's a snip. I think that kid could very easily be playing in the England squad, in not too long, maybe even by the World Cup. But then the bigger ones, obviously, I guess the marquee one is Jørgen Strand Larsen, who is a very tall Norwegian striker. It's not Holland, unfortunately, but he seems to be fairly productive. We saw him just last night as we're recording. We played West Ham down in Jacksonville, and the signs are already promising, the link up between him and Cunha. And even without that specific pairing, like you said, the big problem last year was injuries. All three of our forward players plus Bellegarde, who's kind of like a midfielder forward, got injured basically all at the same time. And just having another person to filter in out of those top three roles. And going on that, also Rodrigo Gomez from Braga is just another, like, I think he's brought in to be the sort of heir apparent to Neto. He plays a similar kind of wide role, and just being able to spell them. I mean, I've talked to several Arsenal fans recently about, whether Neto would go over there, and people have concerns about his injury record, but he's not going to have the same injury record if he's only playing 30 to 60 minutes a game instead of having to play 90s every single week. And so finally, to round it out, Pedro Lima, a youngster we brought in from Brazil to be sort of a backup to Nelson Semedo, is only 18 years old, but is actually looking extremely ready to challenge for that spot. So I think there's a lot of cautious optimism right now with the squad that they've done some very smart, low-cost work to fill out those positions and maybe hopefully avoid some of the injury issues we had last year.
Now that with that, there is obviously the concerns of players like Neto and Wang. Do you think you're going to be able to hold on to them, or do you think ultimately someone's going to come with too much fucking money and you're just going to be like, we have to sell?
I have a question, actually, briefly.
Sure.
Go for it.
Sorry, Danny. Is that what you said to the priest when you were a kid? That's Nacho Wang. That's Nacho Wang.
It's not a show if we don't make a Wang joke.
That's Nacho Wang. Don't touch me unless you have loads of money. Jesus, that's terrible.
You are.
That is terrible.
Oh, no, I'm also a bit drunk.
I'm
not that drunk.
To answer the question, I do think that we'll hang on to our Wang. I think that I think Neto is the big question, and I think we're all happy that we already brought in someone who's supposed to be sort of his heir. I think he's not quite there yet, just the same way that Neto was when he first came in with us. But in terms of being a wide player who can put in crosses, he looks very talented for that. So I think that if Neto goes, it won't be devastating to us, especially if the money is right. So I don't expect us to keep him, but now that we have already made some moves, and touching on your previous segment, I think you said 14 million for Kilman. The number is actually 14 million.
Oh yes,
for Kilman.
Yeah. 14,
So that one in
Sorry if I'm
particular
wrong
has
with
made
that,
us
but it
feel
is
a lot
40.
more comfortable, because now we know that if Arsenal or if Liverpool or whoever comes calling for him, we don't feel like we have to sell in terms of, staying on the right side of the financial rules.
For Cunha as well. I mean, he was obviously your best player last season, despite the 2-3 months out.
Yeah.
But that puts you, you're absolutely right. That puts you in a position where you don't have to sell.
Yeah. And a lot of these players like being there. I think Neto, I'm just guessing. I've never spoken to the man, but I'm guessing that he's probably ready for a bigger move even. But, I think a lot of them are fairly happy to go another season if they end up staying. And so that, again, just helps us strengthen our hand. It doesn't mean they won't go. If they do, I hope we get a fair price. And we've, at least recently with our new sporting director, have spent that money fairly well.
And it seems like you weathered the storm, right? Last season it was a big scare, and again, beating a dead horse when I said this earlier in the night, but you weren't around yet for it, was we were all very lucky. Teams like you at the start of the season, us, Brentford, and Forest, we were all lucky that the three teams that came up were just that fucking bad. Like that really kind of helped save the day for a lot of us when we started the year, that they were all really not doing very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing about especially Portuguese players being happy at Wolves, I don't remember, they kind of became the George Mendes stepping stone, if you will, for play, right? Of his tutelage, I guess you call it.
Whatever, his stable.
Stable's a good word. Yeah, you go put the young horses out there to get their legs, and then he'd come, run them for the Triple Crown at someone else,
right?
And make Wolves a shit ton of money. The other thing that he did there, and what the town of Wolverhampton really did to embrace a lot of these players, was 5 or 6 different Portuguese cafes opened up in town. They, they really tried to make those players feel at home.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of places in the world that would do that for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So not only, yes, he may have some ambition as a, 26-year-old guy or whatever, that, want a big move. This may be one of only 2 big moves I get in my career or what have you. But there's something to be said for the embracing of a fan group and the embracing of a town and a city. And it'd be kind of hard to leave there. If somebody showed me that sort of, say I moved to a 4th tier club, right? And they didn't have one, but they opened up a McDonald's there for me and then a full American menu.
Right.
It's you know what I mean? It's like you did it for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It would become an attachment and another thing to think about when I was trying to move my family out of there,
So trying to get where I was going to say, what are the expectations this year? What do you think the club's going to do? Where do you want to be?
Yeah. Well, one more thing before I say that is something to watch this season is that this is Gary O'Neill's first time as head coach that he has a preseason. So he started with Bournemouth midseason. He started with us 3 days before the season, 4 days before the season, whatever. And so I think everybody's really interested to see he seems promising and see what that does for him. That being said, I think a lot of Wolves fans still feel like we're in a rebuilding mode. We don't quite know where we're at. And so I think even though there'd be a slight amount of disappointment by just barely avoiding relegation, I think most Wolves fans would feel satisfied with that. We're building something here. We think Gary O'Neill is a manager who's going to build something. That being said, I think a more realistic expectation, we'd like to finish right around mid-table. And I think that there is a cautious optimism that there are some early signs that the new players that we've brought in, that the depth that we've brought in could open up a path to one of those lower European spots if things shake out right. With that 7th spot, it always depends on what's going on with the other teams that are right around there. What's going on with Crystal Palace? What's going on with West Ham? What's going on with those teams that we expect to be in and around there? It's sometimes not all up to you. So I think that we're well placed to have a positive season if things work out well. If things like the chance stuff works out well.
Yeah, there's one question I forgot to ask you about Wang. A serious question about Wang. This isn't a dick joke for once. Heard. Is this season for Wang's, specifically that player, is this shit or bust? Either be consistent or fuck off to the championship.
I don't know. I mean, when he's playing,
he's had injuries. He's had,
yeah,
long stretches in the team where he's been in a bit of a drought, only, 2 goals in 12 kind of situation. But everyone seems to like him. He seems to work hard. He does a lot for the team, and everyone likes those kind of players. But at the same token, it's like, bro, we fucking need you here. Is this season for him specifically shit or get off the pot?
Well, I mean, this requires either an hour's answer or none. So I'll just say
we've
that
already been 3 hours. So
yeah.
Fuck it. It's like, I'm just kidding. No, don't fuck it.
Yeah. So the short version is that commercially, Wang is very important to the club.
Yes.
That's what I understand. So that's a reason why I don't think we'll let him go cheap, nor will we, try to offload him just because he's not quite living up to things. That being said, when at the first half of the season before he got injured, he was scoring a goal every 2 games, which especially for a mid-table team or lower is like, you can't get rid of that. And I will say he was a bit of a passenger in some of those games, but the guy was lethal. He was taking like 2 shots a game and one of them would be a goal. It's just like that kind of stuff you can't turn your nose up at.
Okay.
That being said, the more that we have depth, the more that he's going to have his minutes lessened. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that means he stays healthy the entire season. Yeah. Or maybe it means he can't get up his mojo and score that many goals. And maybe it's time to move on for his own sake. Because I think there are teams in France, like you said, who like might have European football and he might say, I want to go there instead. So I don't know. I do think that there's something to look for next summer with Wang and see what happens, but it's not going to be entirely dependent on strictly his output.
Heard. Okay. Fair enough.
Danny, please promote away. I know you do a ton of stuff, not just including the podcast, but a lot of stuff on social media. And of course, my absolute favorite bit is whenever Wolves win, Danny gets day drunk in Baltimore and then takes pictures and sends it to everybody and live for that fucking bit. It's the best.
Yeah. Well, usually these days I'm getting older. I got to save it for the big wins. But the first one last season was the Man City win. And the second one was the Spurs win. I think the Spurs win was one of the bigger benders because the way that Lamina ended it, scored right at the final whistle. That was epic. And I had a great time that night. Yeah, so I'm a regular cast member, contributor, whatever, to the Whole Lot of Wolves podcast. That's the first and only US-based Wolves podcast. We're on Twitter at WLW Pod, all the various podcast outlets. I myself am at Baltimore Wolves on Twitter, and I don't know why I'm famous for that. I don't know why Sam Houston likes me, but it's a lot of memes and bullshit, to be honest. But people seem to like it. So follow me on there and you'll see some stupid stuff, I'm sure.
Hold on. The shit Houston likes. Memes and bullshit.
Exactly.
You're checking the boxes, brother.
Yeah, just to be completely transparent, make sure everybody understands, despite their form last season, it's whole WHOLE. Not whole HOLE.
Yeah.
I want to make sure everybody's aware.
That's correct.
I love you, Danny. I'm sorry.
Excellent.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
Have you found your pants yet?
My pants? You mean
from when we were in Annapolis, last week?
I don't know if I'll ever find those pants, Mel.
I'm just wondering. I didn't know if anybody found them and returned them to you or not.
All righty. Well, that is going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Another fucking marathon in the books. 3 hours as always. Mr. Graham, before I give you parting words, I just want to say unanimous decision. I'm making it for you, and I know you all will agree. Heather, motherfucking MVP.
Oh my
tonight.
gosh.
Costume changes.
Our new favorite.
Beginning to finish. Here the whole fucking time.
I think we have a new friend.
No
Heather,
doubt about it.
Are you in the DU Football Show Facebook group yet?
I clicked follow while you guys are doing this mega podcast today.
Come find the drunkard. I'll find the link and post it here in the chats. Y'all keep going. I'll find it.
And I'm so glad that we definitely found you in the parking lot on Wednesday a few weeks back and had a great time. It was absolutely awesome.
The other fucking thing about Heather too is I believe as I was searching when I showed up a touch late, I believe I was searching for the email that contained the Zoom link and found an email from her that said, Thought we were starting at 6. Where the fuck are y'all at? In so many words.
Yeah.
Those weren't her words. Those are me paraphrasing. But
And
she was fucking ready to
wasn't
go
wrong.
at 5:59. You know what I mean?
Again, not wrong. Where the fuck were you at?
And
working. I said that when I came in.
Another reference, Big Bang Theory. She was having fun with flags as well during the entire. There they are. There's the flags again. I love it. So, Mr. Graham, any parting words?
Yeah. For anyone that's just finding the show, for anyone that doesn't know us, this is what we do. It's hashtag Bants all day long. We do a little bit of X's and O's here and there, but you can follow your own team's podcast for this. Mm-hmm. We're biased. We're fun. We want you to feel like you're at the pub with us talking shit about football. At DU Football Show on all the social medias. Drunkard United FC is our closed Facebook group. Find that, follow it. That's where most of the memes, most of the bants happen. On Twittix, we are at DU Football Show as well. That's Big Sam's way to take care of it. I'm on Instagram. I don't check it very often. Not very good at admin. Other than that, we hope you enjoy it. We hope you talk about it. And tell your friends, your footballing friends. Patreon.com/DU Football Show for all the extras. We're actually about to hit up a video for all of our brethren this evening, I think. We may hold it off for next weekend. Don't know. We'll see.
We'll figure it all out.
Yeah, maybe. Not really conducive to lighting outside right now, seeing as it's dark. But yeah, we'll figure, just I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have as much fun as we do. I hope you follow our losing betting patterns. It's fun. Yeah. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for doing it. As always. What a fucking shit show it was. It was great.
Hold on one more time.
Welcome to the shit show.
That is what it is.
And don't worry, they're not all 3 hours.
Yeah, no, most of them are only like an hour and a half.
No, it's usually half this.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, anyways, real quick, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We are back to our regular recording schedule. Every single Monday night, we will be live when we're doing the show regularly. It gets posted on Tuesdays. We, of course, also we are being very active on TikTok as well, doing halftime check-ins every single weekend throughout the weekend for games. We're going to keep doing stuff there, so please be sure to check out DU Football Show there as well. And amazing work. We got through it all, and we do have a secondary show that we do once the season starts called DU Does EFL, where we talk about the rest of the league, because we've begun to realize there's teams all throughout that have touches within the Premier League, and we like to talk about it. And also just some adopted clubs that we really we have a fancy for.
Yep.
As much as it disheartens Kenny that we like his arch rival.
Also, quickly, make sure you follow those socials, because there will be an announcement for the first weekend of the season to possibly attend a live watch along.
No, that's when we're on vacation, so it'll be later.
You're going?
Yeah, that's when we're on vacation.
Oh,
We're
first
coming
week of the
back
season.
that day.
Oh, heard.
So, yeah.
So maybe 2 weeks in, we'll figure it out.
We could go Sunday.
Watch the socials for an update. We'll let you know when we're going to be live.
All right, everybody. Till next week.
Good night.